That's what it is. Meantime, Thomas Tuchel has called on Andreas Christensen to sign a new deal with Chelsea and start walking the talk, hinting that he's been dropped due to a stalling on a new deal. Now, are ultimatums an effective negotiating tool on contract talks, or a risky one that might upset dressing room dynamics? Elsewhere, Jack Grealish returns to Villa Park for the first time tonight as a Manchester City player since making his £100 million move to the Etihad in the summer. Has he lived up to the expectations that price tag brings with it? Also today, we're joined by Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill. And will the physicality be too much for Klopp and Liverpool tonight at Goodison? Plus, from midday, we're joined right here in studio on the 17th floor of the News building by music legend and mad Celtic fan Sir Rod Stewart. Morning, Sir Rod. He's on his way in. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Trevor Sinclair, and we're live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
We are indeed. It's going to be a star-studded studio today. Trevor Sinclair, how are we?
Very well. I have to say, I'm quite excited.
Good, man. Good.
Sir Rod, I've seen him 3 times in concert.
Have you?
Yeah, once in Earls Court.
Yeah.
Once in Dubai. And once in Lytham. He came to Lytham Proms. So I've seen him there as well. So
excellent. Is that why you're wearing that very smart jacket,
Well,
incidentally?
I thought
You've tossed yourself up well, hasn't he, Simon?
Better make a bit of an effort.
Well, credit's where it's due. Come on, Simon.
Indeed, so we can look forward to him fawning and photobombing and everything else.
Exactly. So, Rod, we're looking forward to seeing you. We're looking forward to it. I've told him about this view that you and I have got every morning, Simon, so he's desperately keen to see that.
Indeed.
Mr. Jordan, how are you? You good?
I'm well.
You good?
I'm very well.
You
All
are good.
Indeed, I am.
You were in fine fettle yesterday, I have to say, and today I'm quite sure will be no exception. So Rod will be in studio from 12 onwards. We're looking forward to seeing him, and of course then, as we are now, we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to watch the show, you can head over to the official talkSPORT channel on those platforms. We lost a great of the game just yesterday. News came through, Simon.
Did indeed, yeah.
Ray Kennedy. He was a favourite player of mine.
One of mine as
You'll
well,
remember him vividly,
so.
I'm sure.
Yep.
You remember him, Trevor? You're probably
a little
of
bit
an age group,
before
a
my
bit
time.
hazy. A wonderful player for Arsenal, a wonderful player for Liverpool. Later on this morning, you're going to be hearing from Bob Wilson, who the former Arsenal goalkeeper, of course, who knew Ray very, very well. And we're also going to be hearing from former Liverpool striker John Aldridge on this man, Ray Kennedy. He was truly a great, totally underrated player as well, Simon.
And a great goal-scoring midfield player. I mean, I read Graham Souness's article in one of the newspapers.
Yeah, in the
where he
Times
talks
this
about
morning,
some of the times,
yeah.
And I remember watching Ray Kennedy when I was 9 years of age in the 1977 European Cup final, which Liverpool won 3-1 against Mönchengladbach. And then, of course, the same season they had the 77 game against Manchester United. I remember Kennedy as a player. He was a tremendous player. I just also followed his story. And we'll talk about it later on about the decline of his health with Parkinson's and all the tragedy that goes with that.
Yes, indeed.
But a great player. Great player.
Trevor, I watched it last night. Newcastle and Norwich. I was sitting in my bed watching it on an iPad. That's how you do it these days. You don't just sit in front of the telly.
Correct.
There are various ways and means of watching a game. What did you think of the sending off? What was Kieran Clark up to?
Well, listen, it's his starting position. He doesn't realise the danger. He's found himself wrong side, and it's one of them where you either let him go in and score a goal or you take him down and hope to get away with it. He did neither.
Yeah.
Took him down, got the red card. I thought it was well deserved. And it gives Newcastle a massive, massive task. 9 minutes into the game, down to 10 men, and they've got to try and, one, survive, which they did for quite a while, but also to go in the lead. I think it shows the spirit that Newcastle have at the moment under Eddie Howe. But all in all, it was a deep block. They were playing on the break, and Norwich definitely deserved a draw, and if not, a win.
Well, I mean, Newcastle still winless. Norwich trying to make some kind of headway in the Premier League, but it's going to be mightily difficult for both. Eddie Howe and, of course, Dean Smith spoke after the match. Let's dip into what they said.
We were desperate for 3 points today, but we've got the one. But I think I have to cling to what I've seen in terms of what the players have delivered, the spirit, in terms of giving more. Probably than they felt they were physically capable of, but they gave it tonight, and we're going to just need that in the battle that we have ahead.
We just concentrate on the next game now. We knew that it was a big game tonight, probably bigger for Newcastle than ourselves because they haven't won this season yet. It keeps our unbeaten run going. Defensively, I thought we were good. Didn't didn't give away many chances. I told them to keep their heads at half time because, you know, any little touch they would be looking to get free kicks and set pieces, and, you know, that's where they end up getting their goal from. But the perseverance and the character of the players is there for all to see. Kept battling away and, you know, got a point in the end.
So they did. But Simon, when you look at it, Newcastle still winless. Norwich remain unbeaten in 4 games. Do either side have any cause for optimism when it comes to beating the drop?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Norwich have recovered slightly. I mean, I made the fatal comment of saying that Pukki needs more chances to score a goal, and he goes and scores a worldie yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought that would be damaging for Norwich because they don't score enough goals. I think Newcastle can take a lot from that game because ultimately the spirit of the side, they would have expected to win this game going into it or hoped to win it and start breaking the mould of where they are. To go down to 9 men and to play in a game with such pressure upon them, such expectation, and still come out with a point is probably a little bit more compelling than people think it is, because ultimately 9 men going down to 10 men changes the game completely, and atypically when teams go down to a reduced amount of players on the pitch, they tend to get put to the sword.
Yes. Yeah.
And in this instance, Newcastle had the wherewithal to ride out the storm, go in front and hold it to the 80th minute. So I think the Newcastle can take something from it. Now, you look at the other sides in front of them, and Norwich, okay, they're on a decent run of form. I still believe, and there's no bias in this situation, that Norwich will come up short, and Newcastle may too. But I just feel that there's a better opportunity for Newcastle because I think they'll have more of an innate ability to change it in January than Norwich will.
Yeah, yeah. I fear for both of them, to be quite honest, Trevor.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. I think both teams are struggling. I look at the performance last night from Norwich, and they did have 69% possession. They were playing against a team with 1 man less, but they still found it very difficult to break Newcastle down and to create good chances. And they don't score enough goals, and more often than not, the goal scorer is going to be Pukki. So if they need more threat going forward, I would say they need to bring somebody in who can score goals and add to that threat going forward in January. The only fear I would say for Newcastle is, you know, you look at the games coming up: Burnley, Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Everton, and then you get to January.
Yeah.
I think they could be disjointed by then. They could be cut apart.
I don't think the sides are going to get away from them. If you look at the side that's directly above them, okay, which is Watford, look who the next 2 games are. Watford have got Chelsea and Man City. So they can plausibly come out of both of those games with nothing.
Yeah.
So the gap doesn't get wider. It's about staying in touch with the team that's 4th from bottom.
Yeah.
And I don't see Watford pulling away. Leeds have got a result last night.
Leeds won last night. That was crucial.
Which was a crucial situation. So you look at it and say, whilst they've got this horrible run of games, Newcastle, it's a difficult one. I heard you talking earlier on about the Burnley game. If they can get 3 points against Burnley, all of a sudden they start to get themselves within touching distance.
Well, they've won.
A game's difference between the two sides.
You think one of the two, Norwich probably more than Newcastle, will survive? No?
No,
you give them both a chance.
I think they both. I think no. My view is, and people say, well, why did you pick Newcastle over Norwich? It's just an innate feeling, probably because I've been so vitriolic about Newcastle's takeover and the ownership model that I expect it to blow up in my face. And by the same token, I also expect that they will be able to make a big impact and a dent in the transfer market in January if they so choose.
Yeah.
My view is, honestly, if I'm being pinned down to it, I wasn't enamoured of Eddie Howe's appointment. I think the distinct possibility is Newcastle will go down. But I'm sort of oddsing it a little bit because I think that juxtaposition, they have the ability to change the direction of travel, and I'm not sure Norwich do.
It's easier said than done, that, isn't it? You know, talking January transfer window, bringing in players that are not just good players, they've got to be men who are ready to take responsibility, because it's a difficult environment to come into. A relegation battle, you've got, 4 or 5 months to turn it around for the club. And you can't take time. We're talking about Jack Grealish later, who's taking a bit of time to get used to Manchester City. You can't take time. You almost need to hit the ground running.
What do you think of a side that is not losing 50% of its games? Newcastle are not losing.
They're drawing a lot of
games. So it won't take much to kick those draws into wins. And one of them should have been Brighton when they were dreadfully unlucky. The guy's through on goal and gets pulled down by the goalkeeper, and that would have been 2-1 to Newcastle.
Should have, would have, could have.
Should have, would have, could have. But what I'm saying is, you build.
They're not a million miles away anyway.
They're not a million miles away.
Sure. Okay, a lot to talk about today, because what a night tonight. Aston Villa, Manchester City. Jack up against his old team. Everton, Liverpool. Klopp's been very, very interesting on that. And so Rod Stewart is on the way. In fact, he's just texted me, what we're getting now. Don't tell me. Oh, yeah, just left the estate, Jimmy boy. On my way. And I'm very excited about seeing you all. Great. We're waiting for you, Sir Rod. We're waiting.
traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. We can offer van insurance that covers social, domestic and pleasure use, as well as your business needs. Swinton Insurance.
Game day this Saturday.
West Ham United versus Chelsea. Coverage from 11. Kick-off 12:30.
On talkSPORT.
Good morning, everybody. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. It's Tuesday morning. This is Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, and we're into the month of December. I can hardly believe it's come around. Can you believe it? Trevor Sinclair, can you believe it? We're in the Christmas month.
The tree is up. The tree is
Oh, it's up now, is it?
Yes.
I've had to do the same
just
thing.
needs
This
to
is
be
a northern
decorated.
thing. I've got a tree up as well because Michelle insists upon it going up in November.
Well, no.
Is it a northern thing?
Ours went up after midnight last night.
But it's still early. It should be 12 days before and 12 days after.
Well,
First
no.
of December.
You want to get into the Christmas mood, and you've done that.
You got
You
yours
heard the
up, have you?
Grinch over there. Have
problem
you heard the
about that.
Grinch?
Got yours up, have
We've
you?
got kids about.
I'll probably get a tree up maybe about the 23rd, I would think. Morning,
God.
guys. Great show. Glad to hear that you are doing a tribute this morning to Ray Kennedy.
That's right.
This is Michelle, a Spurs fan in Peterborough. Good morning to you, Michelle. Michelle says, as a teenager, I used to live in New Barnet. I used to deliver his milk. And I used to ask him on a regular basis for his autograph to give to people. Every single time, Ray was such a lovely man. He never said no and would always give me an autograph. It is so sad because Liverpool and Arsenal are this morning mourning the death of Ray Kennedy, a player who was absolutely integral to the success of both clubs. And for people who knew him, and it was widely known anyway, Trevor, Ray Kennedy suffered from Parkinson's disease for more than 30 years. And he died yesterday morning at the age of 70. Now, coming up, you're going to hear in a moment from former Liverpool striker John Aldridge, who knew Ray very, very well. But for now, Ray Kennedy played from 1968 to 1974 for Arsenal, over 200 appearances, and he scored amazingly, Trevor. He scored 71 goals in that time. And former goalkeeper Bob Wilson, a great friend of ours and a great listener to this show, he paid his own tribute. He told me about his reaction when he heard the news about Ray.
It's been sort of a long time coming because I think most people who know Ray, who was born in Whitley Bay, was back up in the northeast for a long time, living with a horrible illness, and somehow with that sort of amazing, bold and quiet manner that he had, he managed to battle all these extra years within his life. I mean, sadly, the quality of life, of course, is something I don't think he had for a long, long time. I lean on seeing this 19-year-old back in 1970-71 coming into a side at that age and creating a partnership with another attacking player that we had, John Radford, and between them scoring an amazing 50 goals it was in that particular season.
It's quite incredible, Bob, what he did as a player. And I noticed this morning in a column in the Times, Graham Souness said he was one of the most underrated players he ever played with.
I would say he nearly tops the list. I would find it very difficult to find another player who achieved what he achieved, played in the manner and consistency with which he played, because that's what it's really about. It's okay scoring 3 or 4 goals in one game and then not scoring again for the next however long. But I think he is one of the most underrated players of all time, and probably he never, ever, ever went out for publicity himself. If I had to describe it to him from day one when he was that 19-year-old and I was 30 years old in our double winning side at Arsenal in 70-71, he was humble, he was shy, he was built like a what's-it door. And then, because we had a very clever manager, Bertie Mee, and also one of the greatest coaches of all time, Don Howe. Don Howe saw how he could create this incredible partnership. John Radford, the guy with the sprint and being able to play off Ray Kennedy, who would just hold off all the defenders, however good they were, however much they were built. And I would try and hit him, for instance, with a long kick from the penalty area, and he would shield the ball, and John Radford would spin off him. I can see it now, and I will see it forever, the partnership that these two guys had between them in that quite amazing season that it was for us all those years ago, 50 years ago.
Bob, the real sadness here, I'm sure you would agree, is that he lost half his life to this awful condition. It's
so hard to sort of get your head round when we live our own lives and we spent a glory time like I have had with Ray, to think of the guy that I knew, okay, incredibly shy, incredibly humble lad, never, ever, ever, ever going to boast about anything, and then thinking that I was with him, certainly not obviously through the Liverpool years, which were even greater in some respects as they were at the time that I spent with him at Arsenal. But to think about the quality of life that he has had, and I looked at his age again yesterday. I mean, I've just hit 80, and Ray has left us at 70. And I just think about how sad it is that that quality of life, which could have been, such a great quality of life outside his football, as so many footballers, great footballers have had, extra time, whether it be in the media, whatever it might be, but usually going on to also have a quality of life that probably could never, ever reach the same way as winning a league title or winning the FA Cup, winning the double, as we did at that time. And it has been inevitable, but it does not ever, and it will never. The fact that I am still here, and I think that Ray's not with us and is one of 4 of our 17-man squad from our double year in 70-71 at Arsenal, and there's no George Armstrong, no Jeff Barnett, who is reserved to me, no John Roberts, and now no Ray Kennedy.
That was Bob Wilson speaking to me a short time ago. Bob, thanks for doing that. I know you're listening. Thank you for speaking to us about Ray. Bob and Ray, of course, both part of the 1971 double-winning Arsenal side. But, of course, thereafter, what does he do? He goes to Liverpool. Graham Souness enthusing about Ray Kennedy this morning in the Times, talking about his former teammate. He scored 72 goals, Ray Kennedy, 393 appearances for Liverpool between 74 and 1982. And John Aldridge spoke to me this morning about this man, Kennedy.
It seems to be happening every other week now with ex-Liverpool players, but it's been a horrendous year and a half. Ray Clements, what a man, Roger Hunt, Ian St John, and Ray. What a player, Jim. He was a little bit underestimated. I was lucky enough to be watching Liverpool home and away when he was playing for the team. I remember Paisley saying, if there's one player he could have sold over and over again, it was Ray Kennedy. Everyone was so impressed and wanted him, He was an amazing player who went from centre forward to centre midfield to left winger. He's a great player, very adaptable, but he scored goals, strong in the tackle, great defensively, great with his head. And Arsenal fans adore him as well,
John, when you think of it, what players go for today, when I think of Ray Kennedy, Liverpool signed him from Arsenal in 74 for 180 grand. Can you believe that, John?
Yeah, no. Well, it was the great Bill Shankly. It was his going away present to Liverpool. It was the last signing before, he decided to retire. And what a present he left Liverpool with. That's all you can say, He scored some vital goals. I was there. Obviously St Etienne, but also a lot of people don't remember when we won the league at Wolverhampton Wanderers, when we get beat 1-0 at half time. Steve Kindon had scored, and we were all worried. You know, Liverpool must have 20,000 at Molineux. And he popped up that night and he turned the game around himself, Keegan and Toshak. He was the main instigator in the second half to get us, another league title.
Ray Kennedy was such a good man and such a good player. The honours that man knocked up were incredible. At Arsenal, 1 First Division title, 1 FA Cup. At Liverpool, 5 First Division titles, 4 FA Charity Shields, 3 European Cups, 1 UEFA Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, and 1 Football League Cup. Quite amazing. Our thoughts are with the Kennedy family this morning from everybody here at talkSPORT. Now then, if you're in the area of London Bridge later on this morning, watch out for a huge white Rolls Royce. Sir Rod Stewart's in it, and he's going to be in here from 12 noon onwards. And I said it was Tuesday earlier on. Simon, I'm running away with myself. It's Wednesday the 1st of December, and as well as that, it's Wednesday all day long. It's Jim and Simon and Trevor Sinclair, and we're live in talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Sports Headlines with Bostik, a leading brand in flooring for over 130 years. For high-performance flooring adhesives and smoothing compounds you can rely on, trust Bostik.
It is 10:30. Many people reacting to the tributes there to Ray Kennedy from John Aldridge, from Bob Wilson. Great tribute from Bob, says Campbell, up in Scotland. Totally underrated player, Ray Kennedy. He sure was, Campbell. He sure was. It's 10:30. Here's Toby Gillis.
Good morning. Bob Arum has exclusively told talkSPORT he expects Dillian White to be Tyson Fury's next opponent. Fury's promoter thinks it's the logical choice, with talks between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk over a rematch still ongoing. Steve McManaman has told talkSPORT Liverpool must play tonight's Merseyside derby as if it were any other game. The Liverpool legend says it's vital they keep their calm on their first return to Goodison Park since the injury there last season to Virgil van Dijk. And Cardiff's record appearance maker and former Wales international Phil Dwyer has died at the age of 68. The defender made almost 600 appearances for the club between 1972 and 1985 and also won 10 caps.
If any other radio station tells you they broadcast better football, tell them they can do one.
You can't call yourself a supporter if you don't experience game day.
Football on the radio doesn't come any bigger than this.
The games, the goals, and the glory.
Game day, this Saturday on talkSPORT.
No one has better football on the radio.
Many people getting in touch with us this morning here at talkSPORT, paying their own tributes to Ray Kennedy. Thank you for all of them. As many as we can. I'll try and pop out a few between now and 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, we're going to be joined in the studio by Sir Rod Stewart, and we'll have an hour of Rod's music, of course. We'll have plenty of football talk. As you know, Trevor Sinclair is with Simon and myself this morning. Trevor, big fan of Celtic. Sir Rod, the biggest fan of Celtic, it's fair to say, and Sir Rod is motoring on up here right now. In terms of fixtures tonight in the Premier League, my God, what a night it is. Aston Villa against Manchester City, Southampton against Leicester, Watford Chelsea, West Ham Brighton, Wolverhampton against Burnley. My goodness me, the biggest of the lot, many would argue, at Goodison. Everton against Liverpool, and honestly they don't come much bigger than this. Many Everton fans were leaving Brentford, Simon, on Sunday, dreading this fixture after what they'd just seen against Brentford that afternoon. But we know things can change, of course, when it comes to a one-off derby. But Jurgen Klopp has been speaking ahead of the trip to Goodison. Trevor, very keen to get your thoughts on this. This is what he said to members of the written media. He says, it's a shame I've got to mention it, but we were the fairest team in England, and most of the time the fairest team in Europe in the past 5 years. It's not a prize that somebody wants to win, but it's still the case. If you play pressing, high press, counter press, the plan is to win the ball, and to win the ball you have to touch the ball. You want to keep playing after that. You don't want to create a free kick or give a foul away. That's why it's normal that we don't make fouls, or a lot of fouls, because it interrupts the game. We want to win you want to win the ball in the right way, and you want to play it from here. We play football, etc. We do it in the right way. But he's saying the intensity of the Merseyside derby is too much for him, and that the fixture's too physical. What kind of messages is Jurgen sending ahead of this one?
I think to start with, he's sending a message to the officials. Obviously we know what happened a couple of years ago with Van Dijk. He ended up missing a whole season through his injury that he picked up with that challenge with Jordan Pickford. But I think also it's one of them games where you're in a good run of form, you're playing well, you've not got many injuries, and you're going into a derby against your arch rivals across the park who are desperate and they're on a terrible run. And you know the storm is coming, and you just want to try and play it down a little bit, but certainly a little bit of mind games for the officials to make sure they manage the game properly. And if there's lively challenges going in early, make sure he pulls them up, looks after the safety of the players, gets his yellow card out and just settles the game. Because derbies can get wild. And for me, as a player, as a coach, when I've coached teams that are playing in a derby, I always send the boys out in a calm way, because you don't need to pick the boys up for that game. Yeah. They already know what it stands for the crowd, for the fans, for everything.
Sure.
They understand what it means to the city.
I get that, Trevor, but do you think the officials going into this game pay the blindest bit of attention to what Klopp's saying? Honestly, Simon, they will go about their business, I would have thought, in exactly the same way as they go about it in any other game.
Well, you'd like to think so, but people are obviously human beings, and they're aware of all the paraphernalia that goes around these games. You know, the game fixture last year when Pickford left something on Van Dijk. It was, one of the Liverpool players left a lot on Richarlison as well. It was one of those games. And on one hand, you've got Danny Murphy talking about his approach to that game and how much he looked forward to that game as a Liverpool player and how much the game carried itself. And it was often Everton players that were more keyed up than Liverpool players. Obviously, Klopp talks about the nature of this game. It's the English Premier League that you're in, and the English Premier League comes with these sort of fixtures. It's the lifeblood of English football, these sort of derby fixtures. Obviously, we've seen a changing of the ideals around how referees let games flow, and how there's an element of a slight increase in physicality. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I hate to talk about modern football, but we're looking at players now that are so protected. The game is so almost sanitised now against physicality that I almost find myself looking at Klopp and going, I don't know, it sounds a bit flaky. It's a big game. It's a Merseyside derby. If you can't have a bit of blood and passion in arguably one of the biggest games in English football, really? And you might be right. It might just be a clarion call to the officials to say,
manage the game.
Keep your heads about you.
Yeah.
Don't you lot get involved. But that's not his job, is it?
No, of course it's not. It's part of a derby like this. The physicality's part of it.
Listen, managing the fans, the expectations, and all the rest of that's one thing, because it is going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, as we all know it always is between these two clubs. But if Everton go into the game and they're passive and they get close but don't get physical, they can't win this game. So for me, if I'm Rafa and I'm talking to the Everton players, they have to lay a paw on the Liverpool players straight away.
Yes.
Lay down a marker, let them know you're there, let them know you mean business, and this is not going to be an easy game for them. And you know what? Some of the Liverpool players might not fancy it.
But that's what Klopp is railing against. He says they've got a habit of taking it too far.
But it's a leveller, isn't it? If you can't compete because the Liverpool players individually, collectively are a better team than Everton, especially with the Everton squad being so decimated by injuries, you're not going to get a result unless you get physical, unless you change the way this game is going to be played.
Pickford's challenge last year was ridiculous. On Virgil van Dijk. We all know that. It was extremely unnecessary, and it was rash, and it was irresponsible. But I'm looking at the Everton side and look at it and say, the way they rolled over against Watford, I don't think Liverpool got too much to worry about. If they're going to turn up like that,
well, you've got a point, Simon.
Klopp is not going to have too much to worry about.
But
sort of sucking the life out of a game by suggesting that the physicality of English football, and specifically derbies like this, needs everyone to calm down, is a bit... It's not really where I think he should be at. I mean, he can talk about what he wants to talk about. It's his team he's looking to preserve, and I would expect the atmosphere inside Goodison to change very quickly, because Liverpool go out straight on the front foot. They'll probably be out of sight by half time.
Yeah,
and then the atmosphere will change. It'll be a quiet atmosphere, and you won't have to worry about the furore from the fans. But these games are what makes the Premier League, in essence, a unique league, because it comes with all the passion, commitment, and desire that you want to see. And we know that modern football has sort of sapped some of that out. I'm not with Jurgen on this. Yeah, he can put a marker down. His team can be physical as well. His team can be strong as well. And it's part of football. You have to overcome one another. And if you look at the modern footballers and you look at the conditions that they play in, and again, it's not me taking a trip down amnesia lane, but it's a vastly different dynamic, isn't it?
Completely.
Come on now.
It is. It's a totally
It's
different
almost
sport.
laughable when you look about what current... we just talked about Ray Kennedy. Look at the brand of football that he played, a great footballer, but look at the physicality of that sport, of that time, against what we got now.
Yeah.
It's like men against boys by
but
comparison,
Jurgen's saying, when it comes to physicality, don't look at us, don't point the finger at us. We don't make fouls, really, or a lot of fouls, because it interrupts our game. You want to win the ball in the right way, and you want to play it from there. I mean, come on. When it kicks off tonight, Trevor, as it will do at some stage, they will both be equally culpable when it comes to some kind of flare-up.
Listen, any game you go into at any level, if you can't match the intensity and the combativeness and the willing to try and anticipate the second ball better than, or at least compete with your opposition, you're going to find it difficult to dominate and win that match.
Yeah.
So that goes without saying, and he knows that. And actually, I've seen Liverpool start games unbelievably on the front foot. Tenacious in the tackle, the intensity, pick up every second ball.
Yeah.
And I'd expect them to go into that. But listen, he doesn't need this game. He doesn't want to pick up injuries unnecessarily. They've got a squad there that's flying at the moment, and he wants to keep it that way. And he's just trying to take a little bit of heat out of this game.
Simon, you're a great traditionalist. I think in terms of tradition, matches like this, that little bit of needle that may or may not lead to a bit of a flare-up, that may or may not lead to the odd red card. It's what it's all about, isn't it?
But Klopp's looking at it going, we're a different type of side. We've got bigger fish to fry than Everton.
That's it.
Right? And we've got to try and win this league, try and win the Champions League, try and win every single tournament that we're in. And I don't fancy some of our best players getting crocked, because Everton have got little to add to the equation besides physicality. Now, I think that's
bragging rights in the city.
But I think that's underestimating Everton. But you cannot take the heat out of a game like this because the fans provide the heat.
Yeah.
And the players react to it, and his players will react to it in the same way. And the referees are perfectly capable of refereeing this game without guidance from Jurgen Klopp.
I'll just go back to my career when we played against Manchester United when I was at Manchester City, and it was Patrice Evra's debut. And I think
is
he
that
came
when
on
you
the
regularly
show,
get thumped?
and straight away I'm thinking it's a new player to the Premier League. He's about 5'6". I'm leaving a bit on him in the first couple of minutes. As soon as I get a chance, I'm going to try and dominate this player. And because of that, and because of other players in the Manchester City team who weren't as talented, Scholesy, Giggs, they had all the top players playing.
Yeah.
But because we had that physicality, because we had that desperation, we ended up winning the match 3-1. We had no right to win it, and if on a level playing field, if everyone played football and it weren't about physicality, we wouldn't have competed. So at times, especially for Everton, they need to get wired in.
Yeah. Trevor, I'll put this to you. Everton fans in the platform outside Brentford's new stadium on Sunday, I was well aware they were not happy with Rafa. That is for sure. If Liverpool do one tonight on Everton, should Rafa be concerned?
I think he's concerned anyway because they're on a bad run. I think they started the season, he's explained it, they started the season quite well. They were picking up good results. They've had a terrible run of injuries. The squad's not deep enough, and the amount of money that Moshiri's spent on that squad of players as well, it's ridiculous that they've not got a strong squad. And the players that are playing, if everyone's fit, a lot of the players wouldn't be getting a game.
Sure.
So it's a difficult situation for Rafa to be in. He knew he was in this position. He's got poor injury form with, Dominic if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's playing in that team, they would have definitely picked up more points than they have.
Yeah.
So they're missing really key players, but it's one of them where he needs to try and turn it around, because if he doesn't, and if he gets thumped tonight, I can see the fans really turning properly, not outside, inside the stadium.
That squad is good
and
enough.
Really turning them around.
That squad is good enough, irrespective of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's absence, to be able to put on performances against Watford and Brentford and Wolves far better than they were. A disgrace in the second half against Watford. I know Watford were at it and on it and across it and full of beans, despite getting smacked into the next life the previous week. Were across it, but they made Everton look ridiculous in the second half.
Yeah.
You look at the second half, first half performance against Wolves when he called out for a need to react to got a worse performance against Wolves. And there's enough in that squad, with due respect to Brentford, who are newbies in the division, to be able to get something out of these games. And it's not good enough. It's not good enough on Benitez's part.
That's right. Well, hopefully it's not a dull 0-0 with very little to talk about. I don't think for a moment it's going to be like that. I remember I had an American friend over many years ago, and I took him to an Old Firm match, and he says to me, "Will it get feisty?" Well, yes, it did. Woods, Butcher, McAvenny all sent off, and Graham Roberts ended up in goal. That was pretty feisty. Wonder if Sir Rod remembers that. He's on the way.
traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. Your tools are part of your livelihood. They're reliable, durable and help you get the job done. Find out more about our business equipment cover. Swinton Insurance.
Warning, dangerous opinions ahead.
Jim White versus Simon Jordan.
Guests, goals, gotta hear it.
Comments, conflict and confrontation.
Jim White and Simon Jordan disagree to disagree. Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
It is indeed. It's Jim and Simon. We're live on talkSPORT. And of course, it's Wednesday, the 1st of December. Wonderful. We're into the Christmas month. Looking forward to it immensely. Former Manchester City winger Trevor Sinclair is with us. He's got the tree up, have you? Many of you getting in touch with us, giving us your thoughts about the very sad news that we've lost former Arsenal and Liverpool player Ray Kennedy. Trevor, what about this for a message? This is from Lee. Lee, good morning. My dad tells me, Jim, that he was in Port Vale Reserves with Ray Kennedy and Sir Stanley Matthews pulled them both to one side one day and told them that neither of them would make it. My dad ended up going down the pit, and we all know what Ray Kennedy did in football. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible story. And listen, when you start talking about football royalty, so Stanley Matthews, you know, you're talking right at the highest.
Yeah.
And he had a fantastic career. You know, to do it at two clubs as well, like he did, Arsenal, then going to another big club, Liverpool, and doing it again and continuing that winning and success that he had at Liverpool was superb. Yeah.
And Everton Liverpool tonight, Simon. There's Pete sending a message off the back of what Klopp was saying. Nobody fairer than us. We don't commit fouls. I used to love Klopp, but now I see him as the worst loser in the game. He's always whining about everything if things don't go his way. Okay, we'll see if he's whining after the match tonight. We're going to be hearing later on, very impressive lad, this Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill. I had a chat with him. Very good talker is young Josh. He is on the way, so too is Sir Rod. Did I mention Sir Rod's coming?
Oh, right.
In his white roller. Look out for him around the London Bridge area. You'll see him getting out of the car coming up to the 17th floor. Producer Joe is going to go down and welcome him. What did you make of Thomas Tuchel? I know Tuchel, you're a fan of Tuchel, Simon.
I am, yeah.
And you have been from the word go.
I admire it.
How do you think he's handled this situation regarding Andreas Christensen at Chelsea? Because since the international break, the bold Thomas Tuchel has decided not to select Andreas Christensen, hinting that being dropped is related to the player stalling on a new deal. How do you like what Thomas Tuchel is saying here, Simon? He says, we have the hope that it is Christensen's lack of action that influences the contract situation just a little bit. He says, my understanding weeks ago was that Andreas wants the same as me and the club, but we've been waiting a little time for confirmation. How he acts on the pitch, he needs to act off the pitch and walk the talk. He tells us he loves Chelsea and he wants to stay. He's a big part of a big club. We want the commitment. In other words, all right, sign the deal and show me you want to play for this club.
Interesting. I mean, obviously, at this moment in time, Thomas Tuchel can pretty much have the run of the place, can't he? He can say what he wants, where he wants, how he wants, because his team are able to back it up. And that is the time when you take the maximum advantage of that situation. Whether or not the contract talks are fair and equitable, I would think they probably are, because Chelsea are no slouches in terms of rewarding their players. And I think it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, is it a precedent? Every player gets handled individually. If you set one, I mean, in the ideal world, you can operate in a certain way. In the real world, you probably have to pick who and how you choose your fights, because you could probably have the same argument about what's going to happen with Antonio Rudiger and his contract and suggest that maybe if he doesn't do the same thing, I like the notion of it. I like the fact that you're either in or you're out. You're either for me or you're against me.
I knew you'd like this.
But it is, isn't it? I mean, I'm of the belief if you're not for me, then you're against me.
Yeah.
There's no shades of grey. It's black or white. It's
I like that. Is it risky?
Well, it's only risky insofar as Chelsea aren't able to back up the ultimatum that they give. So if you set someone an ultimatum, you must be prepared to carry it through, or it's no longer an ultimatum. What it is a problem for you. If you back away from it, you've lost credibility. So from the point of view of having control over the direction of travel of Chelsea, they can win without Christensen. They've proven it. Christensen is a component. He isn't the engine driver. He isn't the integral part of Chelsea's team. He's a component part of it. So he can afford to take this stance with Christensen. And my view, it's probably the right stance to take. It sets a precedent. It sets a blueprint. It sets a control mechanism. It tells you where Tuchel was in the scheme of things, because once upon a time, Andres Villas-Boas was brought in to Chelsea to try and manage that dressing room, and he was sold a pup by Abramovich, because the moment it got tough, Abramovich pulled away and went with the senior players. I'm not saying Christensen's a senior player, but what I'm saying is Tuchel has got absolute control over all aspects of the football operation, including calling out a player's contract talks, which you would expect the director of football or Martino to be doing this rather than Thomas Tuchel. It shows you where he is in the food chain of Chelsea right now, that he's got this amount of juice to say, get on with signing his contract, or there's going to be a consequence.
I'm keen to get your view on it, Trevor, but Simon, when you owned Palace, did you ever say to a manager, let him stew a bit? We need him to sign a new deal, so don't play him.
No, I wouldn't. No, because then you're influencing selection. I would have said, he needs to pee or get off the pot, and we'll take it away from him if he doesn't get on with it, but not pull him out of the team. Might have said pull him out of the team if it came to appearance bonuses. Might have said that occasionally. He gets another contract and we give him another game.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor, obviously...
That's what we're dealing with, by the way.
I knew he would go with it. I knew you would go with it to a certain degree, Simon.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, listen, I think with him winning the Champions League, he's been empowered by the football club. There's one boss at Chelsea when it comes to the players, and that's Thomas Tuchel. It's a strong stance from the club, but I do feel they're playing with fire a little bit. I spoke about Danny Ings last year when he was at Southampton, and he was umming and ahhing about signing the new contract.
Yeah.
I read between the lines, I thought, he doesn't want to stay. They've offered him exactly the length of time that he wants to sign this contract. They've offered him the money that he wants to earn per week, and he still didn't sign it. And lo and behold, at the end of the season, he got off to Villa. We might have been shocked by it. It might have been rumbling in the background. What I would say is, he's moved the goalposts, Andreas. He's moved the goalposts because I think initially, from what I believe, is they offered him a 5-year contract. He didn't want that. He wanted a 3-year contract. He's 25 years old. If he signs a 5-year contract, that's kind of where his biggest earning potential is.
Right.
Now, if he signs a 3-year contract, he can get a really big deal and potentially have a dream move somewhere else where he wants to play, maybe in Spain.
Because it's all about him. I mean,
let me just finish.
Comparing Danny Ings, though, come on. Chelsea are top of the Premier League, arguably one of the wealthiest clubs in the world, champions of Europe, right? Southampton are a bit part player in the Premier League, that he was getting his head turned by Man City. Of course Danny Ings is going to play possum.
No, but what I'm saying is...
Southampton might have been his boyhood club, but it wasn't his dream move.
What I'm saying is the fact that he seems to be messing the club around, been offered a 5, he doesn't want 5, he wants 3, then they've moved it, all right, there's your 3, and now he's stalling, tells me there might be something else on the table for him. So what I would say is, Chelsea.
Off you go then.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why he wouldn't want to stay at Chelsea. But what I would say,
I think it's degrees of loss for him. You're sitting in arguably one of the best coaches in the world, in arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world, with probably a financial contract in front of you that would make most people's eyes water as an employee.
I understand that.
And you're sat there going, well, I'm worried about my next contract. How about you're worried about this contract being good enough to play for Chelsea in 5 years? You might find yourself in a situation where you might not be good enough to play for Chelsea in 3 years' time, but Chelsea still have to pay you.
Yeah,
what a nice position to be in.
Yeah, it's a great position, but all I would say is the fact that Chelsea have let his contract run so close to expiring, I think a lot of the power now is with him. He's a top international player. He's just won the Champions League. I think he is integral to that back four, and actually one of the most important players in that back three with Rudiger.
So you think Christensen holds the power in this?
I think he holds a lot of power. Yeah, I do. I really do.
I can't see that. Can you?
Economically, he holds a better whip hand. Is in his last year now.
Yeah, he's got 6 months to go.
Right, so economically...
So in a month's time, he can start
But that would have already
been
been reflected in probably the nature of the remuneration that's been put in place, because Chelsea will know they've got to replace him. The problem is, for Christensen, with due respect to Christensen being a decent player, Chelsea can replace him with whoever they want. And they can go out...
It'll cost them a lot of money.
And oh, really? That's a concern for Chelsea, is it?
No, it's not. I'm just saying. I'm just
so
stating
you look
the
at
facts.
it and say Chelsea lose Christensen on a free transfer. He gets all of that money. Because if it's all about money, he gets all of that money in his next contract because no one has to pay anything for him. And Chelsea will rock out and buy a £50 million centre-back.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you're saying it's all about money. I'm not saying that. He might have another option where it suits him and his career path now.
Do you know what? Let's have a listen to what the most important people in all of this think, and that's the Chelsea fans. What do you think? I mean, you've heard Thomas Tuchel saying Christensen. He tells us he loves Chelsea and he wants to stay. He's a big part of a big club. We want the commitment. So the ball is in Christensen's court. In other words, is Christensen worth the hassle? Give us a call on this. Pick up the phone and give us a call. 03717 223344 81089.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. This is talkSPORT, powered by fans.
Not just Andreas Christensen, we're hearing that Arsenal striker Eddie Nketiah has turned down the club's latest contract offer. What's going on? Well, we'll touch on that, no doubt. We'll keep an eye across the Christensen situation. At 11 o'clock, Toby's on the way with the latest sports headlines, but it's good morning, Jenny Barsby.
Jim, thank you. Good morning. Government urged to beef up traveller testing.
And big British tennis star retires.
talkSPORT.
Labour's calling on the government to reintroduce pre-departure testing for all new arrivals to the UK. The current rules state inbound travellers have to take a PCR test within 2 days of landing here and self-isolate until they get a negative result. Only people coming from red list countries and the unvaccinated have to take a pre-departure test. The Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting says that makes no sense.
If we're asking people to endure the inconvenience of wearing masks and changing the way they go about their lives here in the UK, the government has to do everything within its power to prevent the import of the virus, including new variants from overseas.
Meanwhile, the Co-op's joined Iceland and said it won't enforce face coverings in its stores. The supermarket says it will follow the government guidance but won't refuse to let in people who aren't wearing one. A 14-year-old boy accused of the murder of Ava White in Liverpool city centre last week is to go on trial on May the 16th. The 12-year-old girl was stabbed in the neck shortly after the Christmas lights switch on. People who are HIV positive or are taking preventative treatment for the disease will now be able to join the army. The Ministry of Defence has made the change on World AIDS Day. Historically, the MOD claimed people on regular medications were a logistical burden. And Paul McCartney's book, The Lyrics 1956 to the Present, has been named Waterstone's Book of the Year. It features 154 songs from all stages of his career and includes lyrics from Hey Jude, Blackbird and Live and Let Die.
Talk Sport weather with QuickFit. Join the new QuickFit Club to better manage your vehicle maintenance costs. Download the app for a quote today and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
A mostly cloudy and breezy day with a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers. It will turn colder through the day.
Talk Sport Sports Update with Green King IPA. Proud to pitch in with cash donations to grassroots sports clubs. Search Green King Proud to Pitch In.
Good morning, I'm Toby Gillish. Had an awful lot of injuries in recent times, but this is still some shock news coming out of tennis. Britain's three-time Grand Slam semi-finalist Johanna Konta has announced her retirement from the sport. She says she's grateful and it's how she explains her feelings at the end of her career and throughout. She says, my playing career has come to an end and I'm so incredibly grateful for the career that it turned out to be. More on that as we get it. Elsewhere, Tyson Fury's promoter has exclusively told talkSPORT they believe Dillian Whyte should be his next opponent. The WBC World Heavyweight Champion is looking increasingly unlikely to fight to unify the division's belts, with Anthony Joshua trying to get a rematch with his conqueror Alexander Usyk. Bob Arum has told us White's likely to be up next and set out Fury's plans for next year.
What I would like to see, and that's what he would like to see, getting in the ring the end of February and March, doing at least 3 fights in 22. Hopefully that's how it'll all roll out.
Steve McManaman has told talkSPORT Liverpool must face Everton tonight without thinking it's a derby. They return to Goodison for the first time since the game last season in which Virgil van Dijk was injured. McManaman says they must put that out of their minds and think only about winning what should be a comfortable match.
Liverpool really, in reality, judging what's gone on in recent weeks, certainly since the international break, Liverpool should just come into this game and go, right, we're scoring 2, 3 every single game. Let's just go and steamroll this team who can't score goals.
Scottish Rugby has revealed it's mourning the loss of one of its current internationals, Siobhan Cadogan, who's died at the age of 26. She passed away on Friday. The cause hasn't been announced. Tribute to being paid, with the governing body there saying she was central to the development of women's rugby in Scotland. And Hannah Miley has announced her retirement from swimming. The double Commonwealth champion, who narrowly missed out on a medal at Rio, one of 3 Olympics she went to, has described her career as a hell of a ride. Remember, loads of Premier League action this evening as we go round the grounds here on talkSPORT.
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
White Hot Sports Radio.
Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Towering opinion from 2 giants of sports broadcasting. Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 minutes past 11 o'clock, and this is Wednesday, December the 1st. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. It's Wednesday, so Trevor Sinclair is with us down from the northwest, and we'll be joined in an hour or so by Sir Rod Stewart, who's going to talk all things music, some old music, some new music, and football, because Rod, of course, is an absolute football nut and makes no apology for that. The sad news yesterday, we lost Ray Kennedy, former Arsenal and Liverpool player. So many of you coming in with your own tributes, and of course we're delighted here to read out as many as we can. There is one, there's no name in it. Such sad news about Ray Kennedy. I live in a little village called New Hartley in Northumberland. Ray played for New Hartley FC and he lived there right up until towards the end. He's an absolute legend around these parts. Please mention this for me. And I will. And I have. Ray Kennedy. He truly was an underrated player, but a true great. We're talking about Andreas Christensen, Trevor, are we not? Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has said, well, he's not playing at the moment because really we want him to sign a new contract. And you think, yes, Simon, not bad to try to tighten his grip on this player a bit and see what he's made of. Thomas Tuchel didn't hang around when he spoke about Andreas Christensen this week. He says he needs to act off the pitch now and walk the talk. He tells us he loves Chelsea and he wants to stay. He's a big part of a big club. We want the commitment. Now, we asked for Chelsea fans to commit and give us a call on this 03717223344, and you're doing just that. Stewart, big Chelsea fan. Good morning, Stewart.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Stewart.
Morning.
Andreas Christensen. Should he put pen to paper?
Well, I think it was Trevor that mentioned questioned why Chelsea had left it to the last year his contract to negotiate. The answer to that is because until Tuchel arrived, he wasn't good enough. Chelsea would never have kept him. He was that poor. He was a squad player. And it's Tuchel that's actually turned him into the player he is. And to have extended his contract after 2 or 3 months of playing at the level he was always expected to get to would have been quite a high risk because he needed a bit longer to prove himself. And I think Tuchel's doing exactly the right thing. I'm pleased to see a manager take this position.
That's an interesting point, Stuart. So you think tactically it's not a bad stance by Tuchel in Chelsea?
Absolutely, particularly now we've got so much cover at central defence, particularly when we're playing 3 central defenders. It gives us much more flexibility. Fullbacks, we've got fullbacks that can fill in there. He's not someone that can hold us to ransom that he might have done a few years ago.
Would you feel the same if he did the same to Rudiger, Stuart?
Yeah, absolutely. I think no one's bigger than the team. Having played football myself, and you let anybody dictate, no matter how good they are, it undermines the manager and the whole model in the club.
Stewart, do you think the model at Chelsea is one of the reasons why it seems to be that a lot of players are getting towards the end and the expiry date of their contract because a manager's never in place for long enough to oversee things?
I think that's a very fair comment. I think that's one of the side effects, you're absolutely right, Trevor, of not having consistency of managers.
Do you know what, Simon? You were nodding at what Stuart was saying.
But it
there.
shouldn't be. Trevor's point is a good point. I would imagine Tuchel walks through the door and says, "Don't give anybody a new contract when he comes in January. Let's wait and see." Yeah. All of a sudden, you go through the first 6 months of the season, it flies by. So he's a Champions League, and you're into last year of Christensen's contract, and then Christensen plays silly buggers and starts to be able to think he's in the box seat. Bottom line is, director of football's job, not the manager's job, director of football's job. If you've signed a player and the general perception is this player is a decent player, then the director of football should be managing it so it doesn't get into the last year. But what Thomas Tuchel is doing is saying, no, this is it. You're in or you're out. It's not the hokey cokey. You get to do what I tell you to do, which is be part of a team, be part of a winning mentality, and part of that is signing a contract. And I make the point, I've watched Christensen over the last couple of years. I was surprised that you were so for him, Trevor, because I think he's lightweight. I think he's got a rick in him all the time. I think he's a bit casual, and I'm surprised that they would make this such a big deal.
Yeah, I actually think he's a good player. I mean, I was having this discussion.
Otherwise he wouldn't be at Chelsea.
No, I think he's a great defender, and I think he plays his part
very
well in a free.
Is he worth the hassle here?
Of course he is, and if he doesn't sign the contract, he'll be out the door.
And what's the alternative? If the club don't take this position, what do? Let players do precisely what they want. We'll only sign a contract with you when you've accepted that you've got everything you want. What kind of message is that sent to everybody else?
Exactly.
I understand the club are taking the stance, and I'm not saying the club are wrong for taking that stance. I'm just saying because of the model, they found themselves in a position where he's got 6 months to go.
Isn't that director of football's job?
Yeah, it should be.
I mean, ultimately, it's a good point you made, which is basically with the lack of continuity of managers, specifically at Chelsea, one changes every 2 years. How are you going to get a manager to own it? What it does tell you is that Tuchel believes emphatically that his long-term future, irrespective of the contract that's given him a 3-year contract, believes that he's in a situation where he says this is how it is, and that's what you want from your football manager.
I just feel that the fact that he's taken this stance, that there may be other things in the background.
I think Christensen better watch. He's skating on thin ice. I'm seeing messages coming in. There's another Chelsea fan. He's not always in the best of form. This is posturing by Christensen. If it was up to me, we should go back to Milan, get Tomori back. Tommy's a big Chelsea fan. Tommy, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You all right?
Tommy.
Good. Tommy, where do you stand on this Christensen thing?
You know what, for me, I've seen Christensen, obviously, as he's come through the ranks, been on loan. Chelsea have looked after him since he was quite young, got him for everything, and now he's shown one tiny bit of good form, and he wants to long out contract negotiations. If he really wanted to play for the team, he wouldn't do that. And when he's not in the team, do we really miss him? I'd rather have Chalobah in the team than Christensen.
Yeah, Chalobah's a good player, Tommy. Tommy, I've always thought this about players that get brought through the academy and through the ranks at a football club. At times, they're not valued enough. Do you feel he feels like he's valued at the club enough? Or if he was, why would he be doing this?
He definitely feels valued. We've got arguably one of the best managers in world football, and he was getting started for a long time. Tuchel come in, gave him put a lot of faith into him. Mm-hmm. He's been playing alongside the likes of Rudiger, Thiago Silva, arguably one of the best centre-halves that's been around in my lifetime. Learn all that from him. Tuchel's come in, give him all the opportunities and whatnot, and then he comes to a negotiation and he goes, no, I want more money. Why would Tuchel want him there?
Is that what he said, though, Tommy? He said he wants more money.
Well, why is he not signing it?
But this is what I'm saying. I think there might be something else in it. Because I think, like Simon
Tommy,
said,
thanks for the call.
They would have offered him a huge contract.
Yeah, but Trevor, when you said to Tommy that maybe he doesn't feel valued enough by the club, it's up to him to make himself feel valued.
But he has been superb.
But the reasons
that's why the second in that's why the third in the league and the champions,
the whole team,
champions of Europe.
The whole team has been superb, and he was part of a team that wasn't
absolutely,
superb. Right?
Absolutely.
But you look at it and say, why are we talking about this? Because the manager's brought it in the public domain. Do we think Thomas Tuchel looks after his players? Equitable, fair, brings them on. Yeah. So the manager thinks this needs to be in the public domain. The manager thinks that he needs to be called out and put in his place, which is you're in or you're out. So Thomas Tuchel is the one that's bringing it to our attention. Yes, of course, in a contractual negotiation is a push me, pull me mentality, isn't there? I want this, you want that. I've got the situation. I'm under. I
so what you're saying, Thomas Tuchel's outing him a little bit?
Yeah. Thomas Tuchel clearly doesn't think that ultimately what he's doing is fair and representative of the discussions they've had. Yeah. Tuchel strikes me as someone that it's my way or the highway mentality, but a fair way. I'll take you with me, but I'll be fair with you. So when you start, when you start moving away from that direction of travel, I'm going to pull you back in. So when he goes out into the public domain for no reason, into the public domain as a manager and says, walk the walk, or walk the talk or whatever it is, it's a strange one. You don't hear managers doing it very often.
See, Ryan, interestingly, Simon's listening to you, but he's saying, I don't understand why clubs are blamed when players go into their last year. You can't force them to sign, and you can't sell them if they don't want to leave. Players have all the power.
They do. And they, and ultimately that's the situation you're up against, which is if the director of football in a club that doesn't have a consistent managerial role and changes every couple of years, doesn't step in and bridge the gap. But the problem is, if Christensen's been bang average for 2 years, and all of a sudden ups his game, and in a time when a new manager comes in...
Which reflects the club, though, the team's performance as well.
Well, does it or doesn't it? I mean, Chelsea haven't been slouches. They may not have been great, but they haven't been slouches over that 2 years.
And I think he kind of reflects that.
So with that in mind, he comes into the last 2 years of his contract. He's all right. He's okay. Tuchel comes in. Everyone goes super powered, and all of a sudden, the guy's in the box seat. It's the inequity of it all, but that's the reality of the football world, isn't it?
Yeah. Andreas, if you're listening, get the pen out, sign it. 11:15.
Traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. We offer cover for a wide range of trades, from plumber or electrician to taxi and van. Get a quote today. Swinton Insurance.
Hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of the second Test match between New Zealand and India.
Driven straight to cover point.
Cricket coverage that will knock you for six. This Friday morning.
Only on talkSPORT 2.
20 past 11 this Wednesday morning. It's Wednesday, December the 1st, and it's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. A lot of Chelsea fans saying, Andreas Christensen, get a bend on, get that deal signed. W is a big Chelsea fan. He says, we wouldn't miss him if he went. He's lightweight. Get Sergio Ramos in. He's not playing for PSG. Oh, who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in January? That is then. This is now. Sir Rod Stewart will be joining us in about 40 minutes live here in studio. So many big games tonight. We're going to talk about Grealish going back to play against Villa. That's coming up very shortly, Trevor. I know you've got your own thoughts on that one, mate. Wolves Burnley. This could be a real battle tonight. 7:30 for this one. What about Burnley? Just one win all season long. I had a sit down yesterday with midfielder Josh Brownhill, looking ahead to this game. Now, we talked a whole bunch of things. Josh, a good talker, this lad. Midfielder, of course, for Burnley. And he said, there's still a feeling of confidence that we can pull away from the relegation area. This is Josh Brownhill.
Our performances this season have actually been really good. I can compare us for the beginning of last season. Our performances wasn't as good as what they were this season, but there's no hiding the fact that we need more wins and we need more points on the board. Only one win, and that was against Brentford. It was a good solid win and well deserved. For us, we definitely need and want more wins, and hopefully it can come in the next game against Wolves, and more will follow.
But I mean, in the Premier League company that you're keeping, Josh, for a club like Burnley, no disrespect, getting wins is easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this year especially is very difficult. The standard of the players and the teams and the way that teams have recruited has been huge. And for me, I've not been in the Premier League that many seasons, but from what I can see this year, the standard is very high. So going into games, it's going to be very difficult to get the wins, but from what I see and what I train with and play with, the players that we've got have been really good this season, and some lads are in really good form, and so are we with goal scoring. So when we come across Wolves, hopefully we'll put in another good performance, and we can get the 3 points.
Josh, we hear managers, a lot of them saying for a lot of the time, too many games, especially around this time of the year. And yet you guys, unexpectedly, have had a few days off. Do you feel a bit rested, more rested than usual going into this one?
Yeah, so it's a strange one. Obviously, around Christmas and January, the games that are played, there's a lot of fixtures. Unfortunately, the game for us was called off, and the staff and everybody involved, I went out onto the pitch and you can see that many number of staff, and like I said, the chairman was even trying to help and to get the game on, because for us we felt like we're in good form. Tottenham wasn't flying as what they usually are, or compared to the sort of the players that they've got. We thought it would have been a great time to play them. So it's a bit disappointing that the game was called off, but on a positive, we're fresh and ready for the game tomorrow night, and having 2 games in a week rather than 3 is only going to benefit us with more energy.
Josh, talking about fresh, Sean Dyche sent social media wild by standing there in a snowstorm at Turf Moor in a shirt and tie. That's not all he had on, but a shirt and tie. I mean, did you guys get a laugh at that? Is that typical of your manager?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've seen it on social media anyway with saying like when you look at the refs and they're all zipped up in the big coats and, look all warm, and he's rocked out in his shirt and tie, and it doesn't seem like he felt the cold one bit, but I can tell you it was very cold out there.
Is he really the hard man that he leads us to believe that he is, Josh?
Yeah, he's the same when they say with training or whether it's a game, whether it's rainy or snowy, you know what you get with a gaffer.
Listen, you are getting used to life in the Premier League. You're approaching 2 years at the club. In terms of career progression, how do you feel you're going, Josh, in the right direction?
Yeah, I feel like I am. It's tough the step up from the Championship to the Premier League, and I remember when I first joined in January, it was sort of sit in bed and get used to the standard and watch, and hopefully from the following season it would start fresh there, but started sort of earlier than what I expected in games, and I felt like I adapted to the Premier League quite quickly. It's never easy to do, and for me I've been happy with my performances and the way that they've been going, but also there's a lot of room for improvement. I know myself and my own ability and what I can achieve, and I feel like there's still a lot more to come. There's no hiding away from the fact that I need to do more going forward, because when I was in the Championship I did a lot more, but it's a difficult league, and my roles here are a lot different to what I was at Bristol City, but hopefully going forward and say for the rest of the season I'll be able to impact the pitch going forward rather than just defensively.
Listen, we're all going to be entertained if there's a lot more to come from this guy Maxwell Cornet. I mean, he's been a revelation, has he not? £15 million in the summer. He does this spectacularly.
Yeah, I think to hit the ground running so quickly is difficult. There's a lot of players in the Premier League that come from abroad with a lot of ability and sort of struggle to get off the mark or to sort of make their mark on the Premier League, and for him to come in and do what he's done has been remarkable, really. He's fitted in from day one, like amazingly. He's such a nice person, and he gets his rewards on the pitch because he works hard, and so there's no hiding the fact that he's got a lot of quality, and for us he's made a massive impact.
Listen, good luck at Wolves. I want to finish on this because you first joined in January 2020, Josh. You did 2 months before the first lockdown, and yet you then took yourself out to visit local businesses in the community. First off, why did you do that?
Because I remember sort of driving through Burnley on the way to training and going into the town centre and sort of seeing all the shops like were boarded up, and I was going into some shops when they were kind of opening and sort of having conversations with the people like at the coffee shop or the deli that I was going to or the car wash, and and speaking to them about how they were getting on, or they don't know whether the business was going to survive or what, and I remember sort of sitting down at home and sitting with the people around me thinking, I want to help, what can I do? And we came up with sort of an idea to run a series, a campaign series of sort of promoting these local businesses and entrepreneurs, and sort of getting it out there on my social media and using that as a platform for them, because a lot of them have not got a big following, or they're not big or know how to use social media, and for me, I know a little bit about it, and I had a decent following from being obviously in Burnley, and I remember doing it all, and the reactions that I got from it with everybody saying, I didn't know it was there, I'm going to go in, or you use this shop, I'm going to go down, and that's what it's about. And I've been in since, and they're saying that it's improved, and they've seen a lot more new faces, and people have gone in and said, obviously seen what Josh has done, and I thought I'd come in, and that's what it's about, really. So I'm delighted that the way it's gone down. Like I say, they support me on the weekend, and for me it's easy to support them.
That was Josh Brownhill, Burnley midfielder. Simon, how good is that? To say thanks to the people that support him and the club. Yeah. He decided to go off in a little one-man tour around some of the local businesses and says, I'll promote what you do.
Good kid.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving a bit back, Trevor.
Yeah, brilliant. And listen, you look at his pathway. Warrington started out non-league. He's been through all that.
Yeah.
He's ended up in the Premier League. He's earned the right. He's had to go through it and graft to get there. And I think he just reflects that. He's gone into the community. It's a difficult time. Lockdowns are happening. The community's suffering. He's gone out there and offered his help. Great boy. Speaks well. Puts in fantastic performances. And I actually think Burnley, even to this day, are still underrated. They play good patterns through the lines. They don't go back to front all the time. They've got good players. Cornet's brought something a little new dimension.
Yeah.
You've got Dwight McNeil. I've seen him play the under-21s at Burnley a couple of weeks ago. They've got good players and they've got effective players, and I think they are getting closer because they finished fourth from bottom last season, but I think they're going to be strong enough with the manager that they've got and the experience that they've got to get themselves out of these situations. I think they'll get through it.
Well done to Josh Brownhill. Enjoyed that chat with him. You used to like going to the Burnley boardroom, didn't you?
No.
Have a look around. Did they not chase you out of there? Were you cheeky to them?
They weren't overly impressed with my attitude in their boardroom a few years ago.
Why was that?
Because I wasn't overly impressed with them.
Cheeky chappy, that's why. Cheeky chappy.
Yes. You Londoners got far too much to say for yourself. I think that's what it was.
It is 11:30.
talkSPORT sports headlines with Bostik, a leading brand in construction for over 130 years. For high-performance building chemicals and waterproofing systems you can rely on. Trust Bostik.
The first test of the Ashes begins next Wednesday, the 8th, at the Gabba in Brisbane. Steve Harmison will join us very shortly. So Rod's on the way. He'll be here at 12. Here's Toby Gillis.
Good morning. Tyson Fury's promoter has exclusively told talkSPORT Dillian Whyte is the most logical next opponent for the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. Bob Arum says they want him to fight 3 times in 2022, that nobody is off the table, but that an all-British clash with Whyte is the rightful next one. Steve McManaman has told talkSPORT Liverpool must play tonight's Merseyside derby as if it were any other game. The Liverpool legend says it's vital they keep their calm on their first return to Goodison Park since the injury there last season to Virgil van Dijk. And Johanna Konta has retired from tennis. Britain's former number 1, who reached 3 Grand Slam semi-finals, has struggled with injury during the pandemic, but says she's grateful for her career.
Weekday mornings from 6. talkSPORT Breakfast.
A morning kick that'll keep you going all day long.
Don't talk to me about cricket.
Featuring a rotating team of top-name talent, including Laura Woods.
Ruin the show. We're going to win the league. You ruined the show.
And Alan Brazil.
Stay away from glasses as long as you can. Honest, I'm the Mr. Magoo knows.
Box to box breakfast radio that always gives it 110%. I met Laura fleetingly when she flew past me sliding down a banister in Wetherspoon.
talkSPORT Breakfast.
How do you know this?
Weekday mornings from 6 on talkSPORT.
Ashes preview on talkSPORT with BT Sport. Stay up or catch up. Watch the Ashes live only on BT Sport. Search BT Sport Monthly Pass to find out more.
Yeah, can you believe it? Less than a week away from the first Ashes test at the Gabba. And we'll be building up to the series each day thanks to BT Sport. This man is right across it for us. Former England cricketer, 2005 Ashes winner, Steve Harmison is with us live this morning. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Steve.
Before we get on to this, 1-1 at St James's Park. Your beloved Newcastle. You getting worried?
Yeah, I'm getting worried, but look, I was there last night, and I tell you what, the result it's a poor result. We can't get away from that. 1-1 at Norwich at home. But the performance, I don't think anybody can be disappointed by the way the effort and everybody put in. I thought the supporters, to the players, to the management staff, I think they give everything they possibly could to get a result. I just think in the end, tired bodies, mistake, and it was a good finish from Pookie. But I thought Newcastle worked as hard as I've seen Newcastle work for a while. And when you say there's an injection in a new manager, yes, the results might not have changed, but for me, the performances and the sort of just Newcastle in general as a team has changed.
Yeah,
Steve, I thought Joe Linton ran himself into the ground. I thought he was superb. Listen, just a quick one. Did you hear Gabby Abdul-Lahore's comments about Newcastle, mate? Absolute champ. What's he talking? Has he ever been to the Quayside?
I have had a reply. I'm not sure if it was played out this morning. I did come back with some key points. I think I made 5 key points on what makes Newcastle great. A lot of it would have gone over Gabby's head, I must admit. I think quite a few things do. But look,
why did it have words of more than one syllable in it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right, Simon. Yeah, we're not the brightest up here, but to be fair, if that was the case, he might be an adopted Geordie. But I don't think he'll be coming to Newcastle anytime soon. So I did offer to entertain him and educate him of the wheres and wherefores of Newcastle, but whether he takes me up on that offer, I'm not so sure.
Now listen, Mr. Steve Harmison, all gets underway next Wednesday, the 8th, at the Gabba in Brisbane. Now, of course, you've experienced this. Summer 2005, you were part of the England team that regained the Ashes from Australia. What on earth is that experience like for a player, for an England player?
Jim, I've been on the end of both. I've played 4 series, won 2, lost 2. Played in obviously the 2 in Australia. It's a different animal over there. It is a different animal altogether over there. And the preparation England have had has not been great, if we're all honest. But I don't think Australia's had the level of preparation they would like either. So I think England have only 26 overs in the middle in 5 days. That's worrying. But it's going to be great. Honestly, the Ashes is a great thing to be involved in, and fingers crossed England can hit the ground running, because if you do get off to a good start in Australia, then you have a chance of winning. But the problem is not many teams win at the Gabba.
Sure.
And
it's hostile, isn't it? It's so hostile.
Oh, it is hostile. It is.
How bad does it get?
Well, to be honest, when you bowl the first ball to second slip in 2006-07, it's not going to go very well for you in the next 5 days, to be honest. And to be honest, it was a good job. It only lasted 3.5, but from a mental point of view. But no, it is hostile, but it's what gets you going. If you can't go and play, and Trevor will get what I'm saying here. If you can't go and play in these atmospheres and you can't get going for it, I tell you what, you shouldn't be playing sport. And I'd imagine it would be like Trevor going to Old Trafford or Anfield or even coming to St James's in the heyday.
Absolutely, Steve.
You walk out that tunnel, and I tell you what, if your chest's not pumping, your head's up high, and you're not up for it, I tell you what, you die in a hole. And that's what Brisbane's like.
Steve, the families are out there. Is that a win for common sense? Because the well-being of the players, what they've been through over the last 18 months, surely it's a win for common sense, isn't it?
It is a win for common sense, and the problem that sometimes you've got in Australia, that doesn't always go too far. And that's not knocking the Aussies or anything like that. What you have it's completely different here. Yeah, we've got some would argue, one load of politicians ruining what's going on in our country at the minute. They've got 7, possibly 8, I think it is, stateside. So every time they move from Brisbane to Adelaide, Adelaide to Perth, Perth to Sydney, then they've got different rules, especially in this COVID stuff. So the only one I think's in jeopardy is the last one, is Perth. So whether they play 2 games in Melbourne or 2 games in Sydney, that could be an option. But I think while the families are there, I don't understand how they could not let the families travel with the players, because they're in the same bubble as what the players are. So I think it is common sense that the players are there, the families are there with the players.
Is this the occasion you really do dislike your opponent?
Yes, simple. It is simple. You do. This is the one time. But the problem you've got as well with that is when I first started, my first tour in 2002-03, yes, there was a lot of not hatred's a strong word, but a lot of competitiveness against one another. And there wasn't much crossover. Now there's a lot of crossover. Someone like Johnny Bairstow plays, 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks a year with David Warner in the IPL. Become best mates, open a baton. So there is a lot of crossovers now between players playing for different franchises, but I don't think it really changed too much when you go out with 3 Lions on, or the Australian badge, Brisbane next Thursday morning. It'll be all out war. And when you've got the likes of Anderson, the characters of Anderson and Stokes, especially going against the likes of Warner and 1 or 2 others, it makes for what is going to be six weeks.
How much of a lift is it, Steve, for Stokesy to be back in the mix?
It's Simon. You know what? It's brilliant. Not just for individually, but for England. I think England have got to be careful on how they use Ben Stokes. First up, I worry that England are going to pick the wrong side in how they use Ben Stokes. And what I mean by this is, I think England, before Stokes became available, they had a 16-man squad going over with the game plan of 6 out-and-out batsmen, Butler, the wicketkeeper, at 7, and 4 seamers to sort of bowl one side of the wicket and really contain. Now you've got Stokes. He comes in as your 4th seamer, where he'll not be as good as the 4th seamer that you are potentially going to go in with, which means you're going to have to play a spin bowler, which I don't really think England wanted to play a spin bowler, but it's not stopped raining in Brisbane, so I don't think a spin bowler is going to play anywhere. I personally would bat Ben Stokes at number 3, play 4 out-and-out bowlers, which means he gets my 6 proper batsmen, or the best 6 batsmen in the side, and then drip feed Ben's bowling in as he gets fitter and stronger, more match game ready, because he hasn't played since July. So that's the way I would go. I don't think England will go that way, but the one thing that will suit England, I think, will be this Gabba pitch, because we've had rain for God knows how long in Brisbane, and there's all the reports say that there's probably going to be a green tinge to this pitch, and if that's the case, Broad and Anderson will be licking their lips.
Steve, in the summer, the Euros, England flying, times like that is the only time really since I retired 14 years ago is where I feel I miss it a little bit. Is this series, the Ashes, is this one where you think, this is something I miss?
Oh, great question.
It is. No, it is. Trevor, it is. This is the one series that because you've got a medal from playing in it, because you've got the experience of going against some of the not all-time greats in Ashes cricket, but going against some of the all-time greats of cricket in the history of the game, you miss it. But I'll tell you a quick one. We went to Africa last year, 2 years ago, standing waiting for the national anthems, and people will say, they always say, "Oh, do you miss playing?" And I always say no. Until I was on the field, national anthem, standing next to Darren Gough for talkSPORT, waiting for the first Test match to start Boxing Day. And when the national anthem was on, I'm saying to Goughy, this is the first time I've missed this. Wow. And then once the God Save the Queen's finished and they started running off, I looked down at my little fat belly and I thought, there's no way I could possibly get on it. I haven't got a shirt big enough to fit me to play in this game.
Steve, in a sentence, what's it going to take for England to do it?
Score runs. Simple as that, Jim. If England score runs, they've got a great chance. If they don't score runs, no chance.
Brilliant. And before we go, Sir Rod is joining us in a few minutes. What's your all-time favourite Sir Rod Stewart song? What one have you shaken on down to in some local nightclub up where you are up in, is it Durham? Where are you?
I'm in Northumberland, up in Ashington. I seen Rod Stewart at St James's Park a few years ago. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
And Maggie May would be my
Maggie May.
Love it.
Steve, we'll have a burst of that very shortly just for you. And we'll have constant Ashes updates on talkSPORT during play starting next Tuesday night, as well as every wicket as it happens, thanks to BT Sport.
Ashes preview on talkSPORT with BT Sport. Stay up or catch up. Watch the Ashes live only on BT Sport. Search BT Sport Monthly Pass to find out more.
Traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. Tradesmen need cover too. Our public liability insurance doesn't just protect the public. Get a quote today. Visit swinton.co.uk.
Welcome to the Coliseum of Confrontation.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
The nation's primary destination for essential breaking sports news, triple distilled opinion and blistering debate.
Take it to the limit with White and Jordan. Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
A lot
of people getting in touch. They really enjoyed listening to Josh Brownhill. Is one from Stu. What a decent guy, supporting his local businesses. The Burnley midfielder. Josh, thank you for that. You've gone down very well here, mate. talkSPORT has launched a new site, talkSPORT Win, giving you the chance to win amazing sporting experiences with cash every week. Fancy watching the football, rugby or horse racing in style? Or how about a chance to win a bank account boosting £1,000, Simon? Well then, head to talksport.com/win and sign up today. Every week we're giving away chances to win amazing experiences like FA Cup finals, rugby experiences, brunches, golf days, training sessions with talkSPORT legends, and much, much more. Don't miss your chance to win with talkSPORT Win. Enter today at talksport.com/win. Have to be 18 and over. Terms, conditions, competition rules apply.
talkSPORT legends.
talkSPORT legends.
Such as whom?
Well, Trevor Sinclair, Ray Parlour.
Oh, fantastic.
Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown, Gabby Agbonlahor.
Okay, not so much.
Super Ali, Simon Jordan. Oh, I'm away with it now. Jack Grealish, 100 million quid.
Yep.
Trevor, what's your take on this? So Rod's in the building. He's joining us shortly. What about Jack Grealish? Returns to Villa Park for the first time tonight as a Manchester City. There's Rod through the glass. Rod, how are you? Wearing his Celtic mask. I love that. With you in a second. We're talking about Jack Grealish, Rod. So Jack goes back to Villa Park for the first time tonight since the big move to the Etihad. Pep's been talking, but so too is Steven Gerrard. I think Villa see this as an opportunity tonight, Jack or no Jack. Gerrard is talking about Villa fans. Please get on Jack's side. This was Stevie G talking about Jack going back.
I think Jack very much deserves a warm welcome. I have no doubt he'll get that. This is his club, and it will be when his career's over, because he was here as a little boy. He's come through the academy. The club have benefited a lot from what Jack has give, and I can totally feel what he's been through, because I've been there myself when you have that opportunity to move on from your club. Yeah, he's very much got everyone's respect there, love, and obviously I'm new to it, but I'll certainly pay my respects as well, and we wish him well.
Good. So Steven Gerrard saying it as it is ahead of this game. But what about Pep? Because many City fans think Grealish hasn't really set it on fire like they expected.
Have you got that in writing?
Let's have a listen to Pep, and then we'll come to Manchester City lover Trevor Sinclair.
He play good, but he has to finish to settle, to find the real apartment to live and settle. You know, always you need a little bit time. But if you analyze the games, they play bad. Absolutely not. The quality he has is difficult to play bad. The way we play it and the expectations every 3 days and everything, so it's completely different what he lives in Birmingham. But he did it incredible well there. With the commitment with the club was amazing. Go in the second division, could live and stay there, to promote the first division, stay there and stay in the first division. The second season was incredible. The season he did, or Aston Villa did. So yeah, and now this break. Came back for the national team injured, and now hopefully come back and step by step come back his best form.
So that was Pep before it was Gerrard.
Yeah.
Don't just listen to me here, Trevor. This is what Grealish has told the Telegraph. I found it a lot more difficult than I thought it would, adapting to a different manager and teammates. So what's going on with him?
I feel, for me, I mean, I've listened to his comments there. I feel he started his career at Manchester City quite well. I think he had a few good games where he was comfortable on the ball. He takes a certain amount of quality on the pitch to him. It doesn't matter who he's playing for. But then you start getting into the detail and exactly what Pep wants from individual players, depending on where they're playing. And I think it's just got a little bit too complicated for him. He's moving, all the rest of the human stuff that players have.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Has he done a good job, Trev? Has he been okay?
I think he's played okay. I really do. I think he's played okay. I think he had a couple of iffy games before he got injured, whereas he might have been carrying an injury. But in general, I think he started well. He's a fan's favourite already. He's got so much personality on the pitch. And I think once he gets over this injury and gets back into the side, I think he's been training this week. He won't start tonight, but once he gets back into the team, the penny will start to drop. Because imagine taking on so much information. He's never had to do that under Dean Smith.
Trevor, surely the penny should have dropped by now.
You go and you go.
Is he 100? I mean, put aside the price tag, just because Villa were able to leverage it. He's not a £100 million footballer, really, is he? And Pep Guardiola's going to defend him because he's hardly going to turn around. Well, that's the point I made, Trev. Because they got him for £100 million because Villa were bright enough to put that release clause in there. But as in terms of performance terms, he's not a £100 million player. Pep Guardiola is going to turn around and say he's this, that, and the other because he's hardly going to turn around and say I paid £100 million for a pup, is he?
Yeah. Well, you come and speak to me at the end of the season, and if you still have that opinion of Jack Grealish, I think you might. I think you might change that opinion. I think he will look like a £100 million player.
But he don't.
I mean, Trevor, even he's saying I've had nowhere near as much of the ball as I used to get at Villa. But Jack, you should have expected that. It's a totally different set of circumstances.
Playing with better players that, you know, in general, you look at Bernardo, you look at Kevin De Bruyne. These are players that are held in a higher regard than him. So he's not the Maverick. He's not the superstar at Manchester City. He's another star. It doesn't matter if he costs 100 million or not. For me, he'll get used to what his role is in that team, and when he does, he'll start to sparkle.
One goal from 9 Premier League appearances this season. I like Jack. I've met him on numerous occasions. That's really got nothing to do with it. I don't know why I said it. He's got one goal from 9 Premier League appearances.
Teething problems.
He's been busy though, hasn't he?
Steady. It's a family show. He's teething problems. Look at Jadon Sancho. He went in there, he got a couple of games, didn't really hit the ground running, had a little bit of time where he was used as a super sub. All of a sudden, he's been put in a slightly different position. Michael Carrick's given that where he felt valued in the team. He scored 2 great goals. He must be confident now, thinking he can start replicating the form that got him the move from Borussia Dortmund. I'm saying the same about Jack. It'll take a little bit of time, but once he gets used to it, he'll show his qualities.
I reckon, Simon, if you're Steven Gerrard, you're talking to the Villa boys, you say, come on, let's do this tonight. What an opportunity tonight. It's a great opportunity because they've got so many problems in terms of selection, City. This could be the moment for Villa.
Look, Villa have had 2 games against my Palace and against Brighton, and neither one of those games are easy, but Gerrard would have liked those 2 games because it's the sort of opposition that he probably feels Villa can play well against.
Yeah.
Man City is a whole different kettle of fish, irrespective of their selection problems. You know, it's nice that he's magnanimous about Jack Grealish, you know, but the idea that Man City have a selection problem that's going to give Villa an opening, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but of course Villa are going to fancy it. Gerrard's going to be in full flow. He's going to see his side playing against arguably the best side in Europe. Certainly based upon their performance last week against PSG, it's difficult to argue that they're not right there. I still think it's a very difficult game, but the argument that Jack Grealish is a £100 million player, City have a history of signing players for too much money. Oh, we're going back to Steve Daly when they paid £1 million for him 30, 40 years ago. Look, he's not a £100 million player, and we'll have this discussion again in 6 months' time.
Lovely.
Fantastic. There's Sir Rod standing with Luke, standing with Joe, Becky, Leah. They're all through there, and Sir Rod is going to be joining us the other side of the break. If anyone needs to know just what a fan of football this man is, well, you're about to find out. Sir Rod Stewart, absolute football nut, Celtic daft, of course he is, Scotland daft, which I love as well. He's got his Celtic tie pin badge on. I love it, the whole lot. He's here resplendent. And if you've got a favourite track of Sir Rod's, there are so many, then why not send me a message and we'll try and get as many out in the next hour. The man also has a new album out. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking music. We're going to be talking football throughout the next hour. What's your favourite Sir Rod Stewart track? Is it a Faces track? Is it one Sir Rod performed on his own? 81089. Get them into us. Sir Rod is on the way.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport. Powered by fans.
A very good afternoon. It's coming up to midday. Government urged to bring in tougher travel testing.
And has Fury's next move been revealed?
Talk Sport.
Labour Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting has told Talk Radio it is baffling that the government hasn't introduced pre-departure tests for all inbound passengers to the UK.
At the moment, it is possible for people to travel to the airport on busy public transport, go through a busy airport, sit on a busy flight, arrive in a busy arrivals hall and travel home or to their destination across the UK on busy public transport without having had a test. And that doesn't seem wise to us.
At the moment, inbound travellers only have to take a PCR test within 2 days of landing here and self-isolate until they get a negative result, while only people coming from red list countries and the unvaccinated have to take a pre-departure test. A 14-year-old boy accused of the murder of Ava White in Liverpool city centre last week is to go on trial on May the 16th. The 12-year-old girl was stabbed in the neck shortly after the Christmas lights were switched on. Jacob Rees-Mogg is to be investigated by the Standards Watchdog over an alleged breach of the MP's Code of Conduct. It's after Labour claimed the Commons leader broke conduct rules by failing to declare that he got £6 million in loans from one of his companies. Another energy supplier has gone bust. Zog Energy's 11,700 customers will be given a new supplier by Ofgem. It's the 26th company to collapse since August. And some homes in Scotland left without power after Storm Arwen may not be reconnected until Friday. Scottish and Southern Electricity Networks has managed to reconnect more than 120,000 customers, but 6,500 are still off-grid.
Talk Sport weather
with QuickFit. Join QuickFit Club and substitute car worries for car peace of mind. Download the app for a quote today and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
A mostly cloudy and breezy day with a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers, turning colder this afternoon.
Talk Sport Sports Update with Green King IPA. Ask for a Green King IPA next time you're in your local and help support a grassroots sports club. Search Green King Proud to Pitch In.
Good afternoon, I'm Toby Gillis. Tyson Fury's trainer has given TalkSport the clearest indication yet that his next fight will be an all-British affair with Dillian Whyte. Anthony Joshua's efforts for a rematch with Alexander Usyk have so far been paid to a world heavyweight unification bout with the Ukrainian, so Bob Arum thinks there's an obvious next opponent for Fury.
I think Dillian Whyte should be the next fight for Tyson Fury. We've got to push ahead and get a date and an opponent, and it seems to me that it's logical that it should be Dillian Whyte.
Steve McManaman has warned Liverpool's players they must forget they're in a derby if they're to win at Everton tonight. It's the first time since Virgil van Dijk's injury they visited Goodison Park. McManaman told TalkSport the atmosphere in the crowd will be hot, so the players must remain cool.
You have to take that out of the equation whatsoever, don't you? You have to play it as if you are the best team and you're playing against the struggling side, and that's how you'd have to face it.
Johanna Konta has retired from tennis. Britain's former number one, who reached 3 Grand Slam semi-finals, has struggled with injury during the pandemic, but says she's grateful for her career. And yet another washout for England's cricketers on the second day of their latest warm-up match with England Lions in Brisbane. They've had just 29 overs of practice since arriving for the Ashes down under. Remember, we go around the grounds with loads of Premier League action tonight on TalkSport. Adrian Durham, based at Goodison Park for the Merseyside derby.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on Talk Sport.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be back at school. I know I keep you amused, but I feel I'm being used. Oh, Maggie, I couldn't have tried anymore.
Absolutely timeless, is it not? Maggie May can only mean one man has joined us here on the 17th floor of the News building, right beside the Shard at London Bridge. Trevor is with me, so too is Simon Jordan. The one and only Sir Rod Stewart is with us in studio here, guys.
Come on. Hello, lads.
As he said he would be.
Hello, Simon, Trevor,
Hello,
Jimmy
Rod.
boy.
I've got to pull you. I lived in Essex for 5 years. And
Yeah.
I never got the invite. I heard all these players going around playing football on your pitch in your garden. Never got the invite.
Yeah, it's funny to have a full-size pitch in your garden, but it was gorgeous. Same size as Wembley, as flat.
Wow.
It was absolute. I had Liverpool train there, Man United train there pre-season. Loads of teams came down here.
And what area was that, Rod?
Essex, near Epping.
Okay, so
right on the edge of Epping
I was
Forest.
very close to you then.
Yeah.
So I was in Faden Mount.
But that wasn't the point he was making, Rod. He wanted to know why he wasn't invited.
Don't you get involved in the
Well, I'm going to pass it on to
conversation.
my brother, because he used to. My brother's 93 now, but he used to run the
Do all
team.
the invitations.
Yeah.
So, Rod, you're
Didn't
so
rate you.
welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? Because last week you were a bit under the weather. You're doing so much. I was up in Liverpool with you the other night. Jamie Carragher, of course, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the big charity event. And I must admit, we arrived, we go to the event, everybody wanted a bit of you. And you are so generous with your time. But it's exhausting, isn't it?
Not really. It's you know what's exhausting is doing the promo. You have to do promo shows and they ask you the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, and it just gets like brainwash. No one seems to come up with an original question for me. Like, how big is your winkle? Am I off the air now?
We've got many questions for you today. Music related, football related, so many. We enjoyed that night up in Liverpool, didn't we?
Yeah, it was great. Really was good. And they raised a lot of money.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to give me £20,000 to give to the Celtic charity.
So that goes straight to the
I'm
charity?
giving it all to the Celtic charity, yeah.
Brilliant,
Which
brilliant.
was really great.
It was a fantastic night. You did a big Q&A that night, and you even sang,
Yeah.
which I loved. I don't know how the vocal cords are going to be today, but we'd love you to I don't know, I might pick my moment and ask you to sing. He sat on stage, Simon. It was a 1+4. Russell Howard, you, Calvert-Lewin and Jamie.
Yeah.
And you suddenly broke into...
No, my son came up.
And your son came out, that was right.
And he talked to Jamie, and Jamie whispered in his ear, then he whispered into my ear, they want you to sing.
Right.
I could have killed him.
But do you remember what you sang? Just a few lines
Have
of
I
it.
told you lately? Oh, it's no good today.
Can you do it?
I'll try later on when I'm more relaxed.
Quite right, when you're warmed up. You've seen this man. Trevor, you've seen this man on many occasions. I walk into the building this morning, Rod, and I said, so Rod's coming in today. We're so looking forward to it. Oh, I saw him play at Wembley. Oh, I saw him. I was up at Hampden. Everybody has been to your gigs and love them. What is it about Rod Stewart live that everybody loves? The band's phenomenal. Your dancers, when I saw you in Glasgow last year, they were just magnificent. The girls.
It's a joyful show. It's sexy, it's colourful, and I give people what they want. They want to hear the songs that made me famous and songs that they remember from way back.
Yeah.
You know, if I went to see Sam Cooke or the Temptations, I would want to hear the songs that they made famous, not new songs. So I think I just give them what they want, and I do it with a smile because I love it.
Yeah.
I just love being on the stage.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you're just, your energy is incredible even now. Sorry, and I mean that with the greatest of respect, Sir Rod. Even I'm 64, I'm not going to ask you. But you just love it. You relish it when you go on stage. You just come alive.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have done anything else with this face but be a rock star. This haircut and this nose.
when you first started entertaining and singing, you can't ever have imagined you would become the household name, the world star that you are, cracking it over the pond here, so popular. I mean, is that why you've got so much enthusiasm? Because I seen you at Earl's Court about, 20 years ago?
20 odd years ago, yeah.
And you were volleying balls into the crowd. And I was thinking, how is he so flexible at that age? Even then. I mean, the enthusiasm was so there.
Yeah, well, when I came into the business, and I think like David Bowie and Elton and Mick and all of us that came through at that time, we didn't necessarily want to be rich or famous. We had this burning ambition in our bodies to make music. So, and I think that's what's carried me through is the love of the music. It's the fame's wonderful and the money is wonderful, but it's the making of the music that is so exciting for me. Yeah, and I do keep myself fit. I can still kick the balls in the audience.
Go on, Bob.
Although I'm not allowed now because there's been so many injuries. It's unbelievable.
Before we go any further, the man has got a new album out, Tears of Hercules. We're going to have a quick taster of it. And I want to talk to you about one track in particular, but this is Sir Rod's latest offering, Tears of Hercules.
I remember everything and every window pane. Every word I was Superman. Sail away. I'm going down to Mexico and live out all my days. Feel it in the city when the nights are hot. Dance, dance, give it all you got. One more time, baby, one more time, baby, one more time, just for old time's sake. One more time, baby, one more time, baby, one more time.
The Tears of Hercules, I love that. I've listened to it a few times now, Rod. Your 32nd studio album. Could you ever have imagined that? I mean, I find it amazing. The statistics here are incredible. It's now become your 37th UK top 10 album. I mean, how have you managed it?
I think I summed it up with Trevor. I just love making music. It's in my genes. It's what I was put on this earth to do. And I just love it. I've had my ups and downs like any career, but I just adore making music. I adore getting on the stage. I think I'm just a natural show-off, really. That's why I got a white rose outside.
How did that go down, incidentally, at London
brilliant.
Bridge?
People have been following it. I don't know who they thought was going to get out of it, but...
Yeah. I have to say, Trevor, we flew back from Liverpool the other night, him and I, and thank you for taking me up there. It was a great experience for me. He's got the white roller waiting for him at Stansted, and I go into the world's smallest Uber. I mean, honestly, I saw you sniggering as you were leaving Stansted. I saw you sniggering. What's your biggest love, football or music?
Well, it's still football. I had a chance. 'Cause I actually went for trials at Brentford way back, but they didn't call me back. So, if I'd have been stuck to football, obviously my career would have been finished by now, and I might have been a sort of manager of a lower league somewhere. But I'm lucky. I'm 76 and just enjoying it as much as I've ever done.
Yeah, I was at Brentford on Sunday, and they're doing well in the top flight, aren't they? Did you ever fancy being Simon Jordan and owning a football club?
Not in a million years.
Why? Is that good? Is that music to your ears, Simon?
Sensible thinking. Certainly.
Yeah, because let's say it would be Celtic and I was to get financially involved. Up there, they tend to blame everybody on the board or the owners if it goes wrong. And I just want to remain a fan, a famous fan, albeit, but I just want to be a fan. I'm going up there tomorrow, see them play Hearts. You want to come, Jim?
I'd love to go up there.
Yeah, your blue-nosed friends won't like that.
We'll go up there. What are you saying, Sir Rod? I'll be on that plane in a minute. You did it. You went through with it, but you've no regrets about owning a football club.
Smart money
Simon
will tell you, and I've told people that are very wealthy that wanted to buy into Everton and other football clubs, do yourself a favour, buy a season ticket, support the club in the way that you want to support the club. Getting involved economically will change your direction of thinking. It will make you look at it differently. All of a sudden, the club that my father played for, that I loved growing up and was born 100 yards away, became something different to me. Still the same passion, but you're sat there going, have I... I make him right. I make him right for sitting back and going, I like watching my team, I like enjoying my team, I like supporting my team. I don't like it every week, because sometimes what I get to watch isn't good enough, but I make you right for making the decisions that you've made. You get to watch it and still enjoy it.
But Simon, you were brave, mate, and you've no regrets about it.
Did you not think about this before you went into it?
I was 30, Rod, so at the time I made 100 million quid and I thought I could do what I wanted to do. And you think you can change the direction of travel in whatever you do. Yeah. And when you're young, dumb and full of whatever the other expression is, you make decisions that possibly you'd look back on with a different dynamic. It's the way of the world, isn't it? You pays your money, you take your choices.
100 million quid. Imagine having that, Sir Rod.
I've got that in the bank.
He gets
that on one album, doesn't he?
I love it. Listen, before we hit the break, and we're not trying to get you to do a promo of sorts for this very place that you're in this lunchtime. But you love talkSPORT, don't you?
Oh, every day. Every day. It's on the car. And when my wife's in the car, it goes off. We have to listen to BBC too. Otherwise, talkSPORT every day.
You do? I mean, you love listening to this, man?
Who do you listen to?
Out of you three?
No, per se. When you listen to talkSPORT, who and why do you listen? Do you listen to this show?
Oh, only Jim, yeah. I don't listen to Ali because I emailed him and he texted him and he never texted me back.
Ooh, you were annoyed at that,
Yeah, you told me he will never text you back. Thanks, mate.
Is that what you told him, Jim?
What did you text him?
Oh, I
Text
think
you
he
back.
texts me back.
Maybe
yeah.
it's just Celtic fans he doesn't text back.
Maybe, but he was having a go about when they'd won the league, and I said, just sort of as a reminder, Ali, it's only one in a row so far, and I got nothing back. So he's off my Christmas card list.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Brazil fan, Alan Brazil fan, but I'm delighted to say you tune into Simon and myself in the mornings, and you do that probably from the same standpoint as I do it, because it's educational listening to this man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Your knowledge is just incredible.
I had my moments, and I.
You do have some big words I don't understand.
Yes.
He has some big words that he doesn't
Jim and
understand.
said, what's that word mean? Do you really make them up?
How dare you?
Well, Rod, it's great having you here. We have another 3/4 of an hour. I'm looking through the glass. The entire building has come to a standstill because you're here and you're looking great.
Thanks,
and I'm
mate.
really grateful to you for being here today. So Rod Stewart with us live on talkSPORT.
Traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. We can offer van insurance that covers social, domestic and pleasure use, as well as your business needs. Swinton Insurance.
Saturday afternoon, live FA Cup football. Buxton versus Morecambe. Coverage from 12. Kickoff 12:45 on talkSPORT 2.
Yeah, that can only mean one thing. Sir Rod is in town and he's in this very studio with us this lunchtime. Sir Rod Stewart is with Trevor, Sinclair, Simon and myself. The man is here in person and we're thrilled about that. Rod, I have to say, the message board is in meltdown this lunchtime. I can see the calls that are coming in as well. Paul in Leeds, hi guys, I'm listening to the show. He is a favourite of mine, such a favourite of mine. Rod Stewart, I love the faces, I love Rod. It's just great that you've done this, Jim, and he's in studio. This is another Paul in Nottingham. Rod Stewart was my mum's favourite. I have to say, at my poor mum's funeral, we started with sailing. The hairs were standing in the back of my neck. Rod, thanks for everything you've done for everybody over the years. Rod, it goes on and on and on. So many people. There's another one. Jim, I remember Sir Rod meeting us. He won't remember. He meets so many people. He's an absolute superstar. We were in a hotel in Edinburgh owned by Sean Connery's brother, he thinks. I didn't know Sean Connery's brother had a hotel in Edinburgh, but there we are. He chatted to us about Scotland-England games, about Hampden, about matches he's been to. He would have been there all night. It was a night we will never forget. I mean, so many people will say to you, Rod, we met you and you must be like, did you? Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Well, I always pretend that, oh, yes, I remember that very well. But, I do meet lots of people and I'm very sociable. I don't say no to anybody.
No, I noticed that up in Liverpool.
Didn't say yes to Trevor playing on your pitch, though, did you?
No, I didn't.
I didn't ask, actually.
Trev, if I'd have known, mate.
Thank you very much. Actually, we've got a mutual friend, Sam, at Villamora. In the Guinness place there. Yeah, he's got a few photos of you up there. Nice place,
used to love it. Used to love playing. I mean,
I can see the switchboard's getting into meltdown as well. Look, a lot of people trying to phone through. I don't know. We'll try it. We might take one or two calls. How is it? Many people want me to ask you this, Rod. I'm Glasgow born. I support Scotland. Why does Rod Stewart support Scotland and support Scotland with such passion when he is an Englishman?
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I am English. I've never pretended, I've never said I was a Scotsman. So let's get that out of the way. My dad was born in Leith in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
He had a big bearing on the football that we liked. He'd always say, he was a Hibs supporter, and he'd always say the players that played in those days, and he'd always talk about the Wembley Wizards, who I sing about in Touchline.
Right.
So it sort of rubbed off on me and my brothers, and we just became Scotland supporters. And then I met Jock Stein in 1973, Kenny Dalglish, Jimmy Johnson and Harry Hoods, I think it was, all knocked on my door. We'd just done a show with the Faces in Glasgow, and they all came round to wake me and Ronnie up to get us to go training. Ronnie didn't get out of bed, but I went, and I met Jock Stein. And he looked at me and he laughed at my shoes. And since that day, I've become a Celtic supporter. I was so enamoured by him, Yeah. This huge guy was just brilliant.
Yeah. Simon, Jock Stein, I mean, an absolute giant of the game. And of course, the man who managed the Lisbon Lions. I mean, he immortalised himself there and then, didn't he, Rod? Incredible, that achievement. And that team. And
I know from Glasgow.
And you've been to umpteen Lisbon Lion functions, and you can never resist getting the wallet out and buying something, can you?
No, I like to buy things. I think my best experience of buying around is when Celtic won the 8th title, and I was appearing in Las Vegas. And of course, in Vegas, we get loads of people wearing Celtic shirts. Some of them don't even know who the captain is or whatever, but they're Rod fans, so they think they should wear them. I said, right, I'm going to see you all in Ramsay's across the road from the Caesar's Palace, and I'm buying you all a drink. I went through $4,500 for a round of drinks, and it was worth every penny.
That's brilliant. But I know the Lisbon Lions meant and still mean so much to you. Do you remember? Where was I? Where would I be then? I don't know if I was at Scottish TV then. We were at Jinky's funeral.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, everybody, Jimmy Johnston, Trevor, you and I were talking about Jimmy Johnston earlier on this morning.
I was wondering who his favourite player was at Celtic. And
we'll ask him that in a second. I remember you came out at the end of it, and you and I did a chat about Jimmy Johnston. And Jimmy Johnston, to anyone who doesn't know, this fellow was just the ultimate box of tricks on the wing,
Oh,
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
And yet he would score so many goals with his head for Celtic.
Yeah,
He was
absolutely. Tiny little fella, but he would have that wonderful Scottish thing about beating a player once. Oh, I'll do that again and beat him again.
Yeah.
And I tell you, who's like that now is Jota, who's playing for Celtic on the wing. Very in the same vein.
You like him, Trev?
Yeah, technical plays. He's not signed yet, has he? There's a deal
Yes,
in
come
place
on,
for
guys,
him.
we've got to make him
Yeah,
sign.
definitely. Such a great player. Him and Kyogo play so well together.
Yeah. What do you mean he's not signed yet? Is it?
I think he's on loan, isn't he?
He's not a permanent yet.
No, he's not permanent. But the club definitely want him, and I hope he's felt the love from the Celtic Park fans, and he's going to want to make it permanent.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the number of hours you've devoted to following Celtic, you've gone all over the world, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Worth every penny, you know.
But you never think twice about it.
No. I'm going up there tomorrow, and it's a lovely day out. It's the one thing where I spoil myself, and I get a private jet and go up to Glasgow and watch them. I don't do it very often, but I just wish sometimes they played in the Championship. I didn't say the Premiership, because I think we do well in the Championship. Simon, what do you think?
Right. No, years ago, about 20 years ago, there was a proposition of them coming down, of both Rangers and Celtic coming down to play in English football, and I was the first one saying in a Championship, and they got to pay 100 million quid to come in because it will boost their share price. They're good enough to play in the Premier League once they've been through the Championship because they've got the crowds, they've got the audience, so they'll have the dough, and Dermot and his guys will be, like dogs with the proverbial if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, but he's right. I mean, you would love to see both the old firm playing in England, wouldn't you? You want to see, with all due respect to the others up there, Rod.
Yeah, that's
you want
it.
Stiffer competition for Celtic and Rangers.
You do. I personally don't think it will ever happen in my lifetime, but the thing is, Scottish football would suffer. With no disrespect, no one wants to see St Mirren play whoever. And I mean no disrespect, but they're the giants. They're the ones that get the big crowds.
Right.
So without it, I don't know what would happen with Scottish football that I love so much.
And they reduce you to tears. Celtic Barcelona, I can still see you standing there. The tears rolling down your cheeks.
Yeah.
Celtic, from how they managed it is anyone's guess, but they beat mighty Barcelona when they were in the pomp, Trevor.
Yeah.
A night like that, how do you begin to describe to people listening, Rod, all around the country this lunchtime, what Celtic Park is like on a European night?
Oh, everybody says what the other grounds are like, United and Liverpool, but there's nothing like Celtic. It just come up. You mean, the Celtic fans, with all due respect, again, all the London teams, Liverpool, Manchester United, they're all singing the same songs they were singing 25 years ago. Yeah. You come up there at Celtic and there's new songs, new chants, and they're just blinding supporters. They misbehave sometimes, but there you go.
Well, I suppose we could say that about many, many supporters of many clubs. Who's your all-time favourite Celtic player?
Oh, it would be Jimmy or Bertie Auld, who we just lost. I remember Bertie said to me, I was playing in a charity game with him, and he said, we're getting changed. I'd never met him really. He said, Rod, I want my passage crisp. I always remember that. I want my passes crisp.
Yeah.
So
he looked like a character. When you see, even when he retired and you see him around the fans and people, he looked like he had an unbelievable, infectious personality.
Bertie Auld was a fella, when you were in his company, what was it like, Rod? You just felt so privileged to be, and so fun. Let's have a burst of Bertie, who we lost recently, but this is Bertie singing his favourite Celtic song.
And if you know the history, it's enough to make your heart go, oh, oh, oh. And the rest is history. I think that beat them in the tunnel and we beat them in the parking lot.
I love that, don't you, Rod?
Oh, sent a shiver down my spine.
I love that. We told a story last week of Celtic and Rangers going out, and Bertie was standing, John Gregg said to him, what's your win bonus today? And Bertie said £3, and Greggy says, really? Mine's 6. But Bertie said, but mine's guaranteed. It's 12:30.
Rest in peace, Bertie.
talkSPORT Sports Update.
I'm Ben Fletcher. Good afternoon. Tyson Fury's promoter has exclusively told talkSPORT Dillian Whyte is the most logical next opponent for the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. Bob Arum says they want him to fight 3 times in 2022. Nobody is off the table, and an all-British clash with Whyte is the rightful next one. Steve McManaman has told talkSPORT Liverpool must keep their calm in tonight's Merseyside derby. It's their first return to Goodison since Virgil van Dijk's injury there last season. Hartlepool have named Graham Lee as their new manager. The former defender joins the side 17th in League Two on a run of 5 straight defeats. And Johanna Konta has retired from tennis at the age of 30, saying she ran out of steam for coping with pain. Britain's former number 1 says she lived her dreams in her career.
This Friday morning, talkSPORT 2 is the only place to hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of the second test match between New Zealand and India, live from Mumbai.
India's stepping up through the gears. That was effortless.
From every sweetly struck cover drive to the boundary to every breathtaking diving catch in the outfield.
Marveled him. He's gone off the inside edge.
talkSPORT 2 has got the cricket covered.
Gives it some flight and bangs it over deep mid-wicket.
India versus New Zealand in the second test match, live from Mumbai, this Friday morning.
Exclusively on talkSPORT 2.
How good is that? I absolutely demanded that producer Luke played that for us. Sir Rod, honestly, I love that. I love that. I still play that so many times in my life. Absolutely love it. Who is it? I get the drummer wrong. I was saying it was Carmine Appice. Who was the drummer?
That was the late Mickey Waller. He used to turn up for a session with half a drum kit and then have to go around the studios. Can I borrow a cymbal? Can I borrow a bass drum?
Wonderful. I will love that. The highlight of the day, folks, everybody tuning in, is Jim White with Simon Jordan, Trevor Sinclair. Of course, we're live on talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco Builders Warehouse. And Rod, you've kindly just met the very good people from Selco who are in the building today. The highlight of your day, I think, is going to be when you actually met Ben Fletcher, newsreader Ben Fletcher.
Yeah, I'd never thought he'd look like that. I had this image in my... I don't know, he just didn't... I'll always remember his face when I hear the news now.
Now you can put a face to the name.
Exactly, yeah.
Ben
Well
Fletcher.
done, Ben.
I love that.
Give him more money, he's really good.
Lee Clayton, the boss, has just walked out. We'll remind him of that very, very shortly. Lots of people getting in touch this lunchtime. Lots of people saying, Sir Rod, honestly, you've brought us so much. There's a Celtic fan, Larry, a big Celtic fan. The very fact you support Celtic with such passion means a lot to me. Celtic's my club, and I'm proud that it's your club too. It's a message like that. That's why you do it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something about Celtic supporters. I'm sure every team in the world, their supporters feel the same way, but there's something different about Celtic. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's just a different team to support.
Yeah.
It's great tradition. Brilliant. I love them.
Brilliant. Jimmy Carragher's getting in touch this lunchtime. Hi, Jim. Say hi to Sir Rod for me, please. Thank him again for coming up to our charity night in Liverpool recently. He made the night. Jamie, you're not wrong. Did you see Jamie having the bust up with Roy Keane on Sky the other day?
Yes.
That was entertaining, wasn't it?
It was. I think Roy can be a bit of a bully sometimes. I admired him as a player, but he's a bit of a bully.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, he's joining us in about 10 minutes.
I don't care. I'm still telling
Do you
him.
really think he's a bully? Or do you think he speaks his mind?
I think there's a way of
self-defense.
speaking your mind
True.
and a way of speaking your mind, and
Yeah.
I think he's far too aggressive.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I sort of cut him out the same cloth as Graham. I think he's very
Souness?
Yeah, I think he's,
come on.
Graham's a bit more finesseful and Roy's a bit more forceful. But when you ask Roy Keane a question, you get an answer. Ask some of these other clowns that sit on the fence for the next 90 minutes. We learn nothing, right? We
Yeah,
sit there
absolutely.
listening to Mika Richards and people like that. You learn nothing.
Yeah.
Listen to Roy Keane. You
Yeah.
get to see what an elite player thinks.
He was an elite player, but do you think he could be a good manager with that approach?
I think you've got to evolve as a personality with the players you've got now and their
Look at him
personalities.
though. I mean, look at his time at Sunderland. He lifted Sunderland from third from bottom to promotion, stunk the place out at Ipswich, and he's been sort of behind people as a second manager, as an assistant manager, Republic of Ireland and Aston Villa. I think probably he'd inspire people, but I think he'd probably burn them out as well. And working with him, if I was an owner, I think Roy would probably drive you insane.
Rod, can I just ask you about Henry?
Let me just who was the guy you tackled in a cup final?
Inga Haaland.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
he left it on him.
Yeah, he did, and that always stays in my mind.
And wrote about it as well. That he meant to do it as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I just ask you
let's
about
hope Roy's not listening.
The king from when I've been watching Celtic, Henrik Larsson. You must have watched him many times. I've never seen him play because I was always playing, but he's someone that I look at, and I look at the size of him, I look at the stature, and I look what he achieved at Celtic, and the way that the fans adored him. Just tell me a little bit. You must have met him.
The only time I met him was when I went to get my knee operated on, and he was over in the States in the same hospital.
Okay.
But yeah, what a player! What a player he was. We've had some good ones. He got off to a rotten start.
I remember
3 or 4 games he didn't do anything, and everybody wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah,
you're right. You got to give players a bit of time, haven't you?
Yeah, he was wonderful, wasn't he? He had everything. You know, Henrik Larsson, he was a fabulous player. I mean, then a bit of Manchester United, then a bit of Barcelona. I mean, my
longevity
goodness.
Superb.
What
Just shows
a
what a
career.
great pro he was. He very hungry as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
As a player, wanted to score goals, wanted to affect the game.
How did you feel when Steven Gerrard announced that he's leaving Rangers and he's going to Aston Villa?
I was over the moon.
As a Celtic fan, you're thinking, lovely, we'll have some of this. What did you think?
I was pleased somewhat. I don't dislike or hate Rangers. I hate using that word, hate, to tell you the truth. But I like Rangers supporters. They give me a bit of stick, so I'll give them a bit of stick. But I was very pleased. I'm hoping he'll take Kent and Kamara with him. But you've still got a good side there. You know, I'm looking forward to January the 2nd, because that could decide the league title this year.
That's at Celtic Park, isn't it?
Yeah. Which brings me on to something I've been wanting to say, and Simon,
tell me.
The fact that Celtic and Rangers now won't allow away supporters in.
Yeah,
for me, that is so childish. You know, when it happened, I was hoping Celtic would be above that and do, you know, when they go low, we go high. What's her name? The Prime Minister, President's wife. What was her name?
Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
But we got sucked in by it, and it was so childish. They're going to kill the atmosphere.
Roger's right. You were up with me. You went to your first Old Firm game recently.
I said it to the guy, Dominic Wright, who's now no longer the Celtic CEO, and I also said
Dominic Mackay.
And I also said it to Douglas, and said, you know, this game is my first ever experience of the Old Firm. I've been waiting to see it and hear it. It's fantastic that this crowd has got this atmosphere, but it needs Celtic fans in there. Someone's got to rise above it. Someone's got to be the grown-up in the room, haven't they? Someone's got to be the bigger person. And I'm hoping, I suspect I'm probably hoping against hope, because we were thinking about going there in January, weren't we, to Celtic Park, or whatever it's called.
Well, yes, that's right.
And hopefully
Celtic Park, or whatever it's called.
I'm being facetious. Right?
Yeah.
But the point is that for a game of that magnitude, Ray Houghton used to play for me, used to say to me, you've got to go to an Old Firm game. Forget what you think, you know, you've been in a playoff final, arguably the biggest game in English football at times because it's the richest game. Forget that atmosphere. Go and see Celtic versus Rangers. So when I got to go and see it, fabulous, saw the heritage and the history at Ibrox, but didn't get the full experience of seeing the whole dynamic, because that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen dozens. It's just when one team scores and they all take the mickey out of Rangers supporters, or the Rangers supporters take them, and the songs.
Yeah.
You know, I go up there, what's another 3 songs I've heard I haven't learnt yet.
That's right.
You know, but please, Celtic, come on, allow the away supporters in, the Rangers supporters in, I please.
So that's a genuine plea this lunchtime, Rod, is it? Celtic Park, Celtic Rangers, January the 2nd. On this occasion, I don't know what it would be. What are we talking about? About 8,000 Rangers fans. Yeah. Celtic, let them in.
Let them in.
Let them in. And enhance the atmosphere is what the rivalry's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and don't bash up our toilets if it does happen.
I'll tell you what, the players want it as well. The players, if you've got a tiny little segment of fans and you go into the away rivals and you know you've got a group of fans there supporting you, that's what you want. And I'm sure both sets of players want that when they go to the opposite.
Of course they do.
Rod, this man always wanted to play for Celtic, didn't you, Trev?
I did, and we had a little chat outside, and I think from my mum's side, Michael O'Neill is related to me down the generations, but it's listen, I think if social media would have been about when I was kind of at City, coming towards the end of my time at Manchester City, I would have been able to put that message out there, but never quite happened, and it's something that I probably look back on a little bit in regret.
What about Celtic now, Rod? We're going to hit another break, and then we're going to go into some more music as we head towards 1 o'clock. Are you comfortable with Celtic and this man Postecoglou now in charge?
Angie, how do you pronounce it?
Ange Postecoglou.
Postecoglou.
I
Angie.
struggled badly with that to start
Angie,
with.
yeah.
What? Live on talkSPORT.
I'm hoping to say hello to him tomorrow night. I just hope I could just say hello to him and meet him before the game or after.
You're hoping to say hello to him?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I think that could be arranged.
Oh, okay, but I think he's wonderful. It's fast, attacking football. I want us to get nailed down and sign some of the players. You know, Carter Lewis, Jota, especially Jota.
Carter Lewis has done well as well.
Yeah, he's done. He's a Spurs player, isn't he? Yeah,
centre half.
But
Jota's done really well as well, and I think there's more because he's got a slightly, obviously, because he's worked in different areas of the world. He's got a different recruitment area, and he's bringing in some good players, so he knows what the level is.
Yeah,
and he's bringing in some good players who've hit the ground running, and hopefully there's a few more of them.
I remember speaking to Kevin Muscat at the time, and he says he'll surprise people. Don't doubt him. And Simon, you've employed Antipodeans. You think this guy cuts it?
Yeah, I mean they're strong characters, aren't they? They know what they mean, and they have the courage of their convictions. Obviously, I want Celtic to be competitive. I want them to be competitive in that league because I think it's good for Scottish football, and I think Rangers having the domination that they've had, does or will have going forward. No, going forward. I meant
still one in a row. You know that,
don't you? My own words there. The idea that Rangers will have domination going forward is something that Celtic need to be able to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll have to try and stop that one in a row.
I know what I meant.
You're in full swing now. How gutted were you, though, in all honesty, that Celtic didn't get the magic 10?
Speechless. But the thing is, you could see it coming. You know, it was 20 odd points, so you can't cry about that. It wasn't like the last game and one goal went in and make it 2-1 for Rangers. It was a long, drawn out bit of torture, you know. But that's 3 times now. Celtic been close twice, and so have Rangers.
Right, right. And do you think Van Bronckhorst will be good for Rangers? Do you
early
watch
days,
much of them?
Yeah, he was a wonderful player.
Yeah,
and he's been a successful manager, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they thought long and hard, didn't they, Simon, over that interview process as to who they're going to bring in. And when Van Bronckhorst was announced, they thought, jury out.
I was underwhelmed by it. I don't think it's a particularly inspiring appointment. It's a change of direction for both clubs because, I spoke to Gordon Strachan about Postecoglou, and he was very much in the camp, this guy can do it. Whereas a lot of people in Scotland were like, who? A lot of people said that 25 years ago about Arsene Wenger. So people need to open their eyes and their ears, right, and have a little look and see what happens first. But the idea that Gianni Van Bronckhorst, he doesn't fill Gerrard's shoes. Not that I'm a great advocate of Gerrard's, because I think he's still learning his trade. And the point I was going to make about Rangers, and I stumbled over my words, was that it looked with the decline of Celtic last year that potentially Rangers could start again and build again. Right? Yeah. And I'm pleased because when I saw the game at Ibrox, Celtic for me in the first half were the better side.
Absolutely.
And I looked at it and I thought, okay, good. I'm glad I'm seeing Celtic build. And this Australian guy, and having employed Australians, I like their character because they don't care.
Yeah.
And they won't listen to background noise. They'll get it right or they'll get it wrong, but they'll do one or the other. And they won't sit in the middle, which is what you want.
Sure, maybe you're going to meet him tomorrow night. You maybe meet him tomorrow night.
Hopefully,
Celtic Hearts.
I'd love to.
And you're flying up tomorrow.
Flying up tomorrow, yeah.
And then straight back to Stansted.
Straight back to Stansted.
What a man you are. Sir Rod's in the building this lunchtime.
traffic and travel on talkSPORT with Swinton Insurance. Your tools are part of your livelihood. They're reliable, durable, and help you get the job done. Find out more about our business equipment cover. Swinton Insurance.
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Laser-guided comment, unfiltered opinion, and high-voltage debate.
A new radio landscape of comment, conflict and confrontation with two legends of sports media.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
In the morning, don't say you love me, 'cause I'll only kick you out of the door. I know your name is Rita, 'cause your perfume is smelling sweeter since when I saw you down on the floor.
What a voice, man. Simon Jordan, that is your favourite track, is it not? Stay with me.
Disingenuous is the word. If you want someone to do something...
No, it's a funny word.
You don't like that word?
No, it's not disingenuous.
Not disingenuous.
Have another look.
What was this?
He was asking me when you wish someone duplicitous, when you wish somebody to do something that you don't really mean it. You're insincere.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What am I, a bloody dictionary?
More from Dr. Doolittle.
Well, you do
shortly.
use some big words.
Yeah. Rod, you know the band, the Faces band. What was the band in the lineup? You, Ronnie Lane,
Ian McLagan, Kenny Jones. Yeah.
Kenny Jones.
There's only 3 of us left now, but we are working on a Faces album. We've dug up 30 odd old tracks, doing some new tracks. Ronnie's back from touring with the Stones now, so hopefully we'll get together in the next couple of months and finish it off.
Is that a world exclusive? A music world exclusive? The Faces are back.
It may be. Nobody else knows. So it could be a world exclusive.
A million people do now. Would you tour again, Rod, with them? Would you and
of course.
Ronnie Wood and the rest?
That's all we talk about. But he's busy and I'm busy.
Yeah.
And Kenny's sitting on the fence waiting for the two of us.
That would be brilliant, would it not? We'd go to that,
Absolutely.
Mr. Jordan.
Absolutely.
We would go to that.
But I think what's great, what Rod said earlier on, was about when you go and see these big stars, and they don't always play the songs that the audience wants to hear.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Paul Weller's, and Paul would never do some of the old Jam songs. And I was like, well, people want to hear Stanley Road, but they also want to hear some of the Jam stuff. So when you talked earlier on about why people like you and love you and hold you in such regard, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You talked about the fact that they wanted to hear the old songs. I think that's great.
The classics.
That's right.
Give them what they want.
Give them what they want.
You've no idea how many people hold you in high regard. Sir Rod Stewart. Jim, hi. Simon, Jim. I'm Joe Ledley's dad, Chris. Remember Joe Ledley played for Celtic? Welsh boy. Tell Rod, it's great to hear him on talkSPORT this lunchtime. I had fantastic times supporting Joe when he was at Celtic. I saw Rod a number of times at games, but I never managed to get close enough to speak to him. Tell him hi from me. Joe Ledley's dad, Chris.
Oh, Chris. Well done, Chris. What a player your boy was.
Yeah, he was a player.
Where is
Played
he now?
with Matt Cardiff.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's playing now. Is he?
I'm not sure. I don't think he is, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
We'll look
great
into that
lad.
one.
I mean, remember him scoring
Well
in the
done,
semi-final of the FA
I've
Cup
got to ask
final.
a question about Stay With Me. The
Yeah.
words,
Yeah.
the lyrics.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't do that song anymore.
No, do you not?
No. I don't do Hot Legs or.
Right, can't get away with
They're
it.
just sort of out of step now. They're okay in their day, but they're a little out of step.
Maybe not in 2022.
No.
Rod, you've done a lot of collaborations. One person that you've done a song with, or you've made music with, is Aretha Franklin. I mean, I watched the film Aretha Franklin. She was an activist. She had a very difficult life. I think she was pregnant at 11. What was it like working with someone like that?
We didn't record together. We did a show together to mark the 50th anniversary of the Apollo Theatre.
Yep.
So we just sang together. And I think Elton came out, then we did the three of us sang together. But if I may, we were in the wings and suddenly we're doing sound check and she rushed off the stage because her bosom had fallen out. So I've seen Aretha Franklin's bosom.
Right.
Just the one. But it was quite remarkable, the singing with her, and also singing with Ella Fitzgerald. You know, although she's well gone now, I had a chance to sing with her on a song.
Wow.
Just marvellous.
Incredible,
yeah.
Amazing. We've got many questions, so we can quick fire them at you because we've got about less than 10 minutes to go. Rod, who do you still admire most in music, in your industry, the music industry?
There's not many, really. I like George Ezra. I think he's got a whole new approach, clean cut boy, good looking, and sings almost with an operatic voice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, mate, it's still Sam Cooke, Otis Redding and Muddy Waters for me.
That's not a bad lineup, isn't it? That's not a bad back three.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Another question.
Amazing.
What's the worst Christmas gift, Sir Rod, that you've ever received? What's the Christmas gift you thought, oh, God, really?
Oh, we won't believe this. A friend of mine used to work for Nike, and I used to play football with him in the States.
Yeah.
And he was a big shot at Nike. He sent me 15 Rangers kit.
Oh, dear.
A whole outfit, the socks, the shorts, everything from Nike.
Oh, that's all right, is it not?
I still got it.
Was there a story involving a fridge and Sir Elton John?
Yeah. Elton and I used to live really close to each other in the early 70s. And so I went out to Harrods to buy him a present. And I saw this wonderful fridge. You press a button and it comes up with the champagne and the glasses and all steam coming out, and lights and everything. 600 quid. I thought, I'll get that for Elton. So on Boxing Day, he came round to my place. So I gave him the present. He was over the moon. And then he gave me what he'd bought me. He bought me a Rembrandt, which I've still got to this day. I felt so cheap.
Oh, dear.
600 quid in those days was about 3,000 now, so I thought that was enough. You know, a Rembrandt. Wow. Thanks, Will.
Has he still got the fridge?
I'd love to know.
You got to love that. I mean, he's another one in your class, is he not? Sir Elton John, how does he keep going? How has he been so timeless in what's a massively competitive industry, the music industry?
He's good at what he does. He's a great singer. He's not as good as me, but
quite right.
No, he loves what he does, and I don't suppose he's listening. But if he is, get well soon. So I know he's having a hip operation.
Is he? Oh, we wish him well. We wish him well. What's the one song, Rod, you wish you'd written?
In the Midnight Hour, Wilson Pickett.
Yeah.
Do you know how it goes? That one. Yeah.
Commitments. By the film The Commitment Services as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The Commitment was in that. It was in that movie. So, Rod, what is left for you then from now until the end of 2021? How will you spend your time finishing the year with the family? The family are very important to you. I was with you with your two young boys the other night.
Yeah, very much so.
Alistair and Aidan.
Well, I've done all my promotion work. This is the last bit of promotion I'm doing, and this will buckle down, work on my model railway.
Yeah. You don't like it when somebody calls it a model railway. It's
train set is what I don't like.
Train set.
I mean, if you look at it on YouTube, you'll realise how amazing it really is. But yeah, I'm going Christmas shopping right now. That's why I've got a tie on.
How do you go Christmas shopping without getting clocked?
There's certain shops I go to where there's, people won't bother me.
Yeah.
Marks and Spencer's.
Bob's gone uptown. Rod's gone uptown for a bit of Christmas shopping. So, Rod, it has been marvellous.
Yeah,
and
thanks,
I truly
guys.
mean that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Simon.
Well done to meet you.
Absolute honour.
Good luck from this point onwards until the end of the season. You're saying the mighty Celtic will go and win it under Postecoglou?
Of course we will, yeah.
All right.
A couple of more buys in the January window, and I think we've got it.
Well, nothing would surprise me. Simon, we should get ourselves, I think we might be treated to a few of these. Rod's new album, Tears for Hercules, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yes.
Great
My mum will be
tracks
happy
on
with
it.
that.
And Mum is a massive fan.
Everybody's
mum is a massive fan of Sir Rod. Trevor, thank you so much. Back
Pleasure.
to the Northwest
Thanks, Jim.
for you.
Simon, Rod.
You met Sir Rod Stewart today.
I know, I'm absolutely buzzing.
How good is that?
Superb.
Yourself.
Superb.
Paul and Andy are next.